Looking at beautiful Apogee Stadium in Denton, Texas, as the gates are open and the stadium ready to host its 6th year of North Texas football. The Mean Green season opener is up next on North Texas Television. North Texas, after a resurgent 2016 behind Keyshawn McClain, Mason Fine, and running back Jeffrey Wilson, opened their 2017 campaign in front of their home crowd and against a LAMAR team under first-year head coach Mike Schultz, who are looking to make waves in the Southland Conference. Will LAMAR come into Denton and stun the Mean Green, or will Seth Luttrell open his second year at the helm with a win? It's the LAMAR Cardinals and the North Texas Mean Green coming up next on NTTV Sports. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Apogee Stadium live on NTTV Sports. I'm Kyle Yeomans alongside Kennedy Miller, bringing you the North Texas Mean Green and the LAMAR Cardinals, a season opener of the 2017 campaign for Coach Seth Luttrell and the football program. And Kennedy, we've been together a couple different times. This is actually our first football game together, and a good one to start off with, as North Texas coming off a 5-8 season, one of which they went to a bowl game. In the Heart of Dallas Bowl, they lost that one 38-31 in overtime to the Army Black Knights. But overall, Kennedy, a positive outlook for a North Texas program that's been pretty detrimental over the past couple of years. Now a little bit of hope in a new coach, a Mason Fine returning, a sophomore young quarterback, and then a senior leader like Jeffrey Wilson running behind that offensive line.
Definitely, and this North Texas team not far away from being a one-win team 2 years ago, to hiring Seth Luttrell, one of the youngest coaches in college football, and turning this program around immediately, having a 5-win season last season and getting them to a bowl game. This team is exciting. They're young. They have Jeffrey Wilson, who's a stud, and they're looking to revamp this year and keep the wins piling up.
It'll be very interesting to see how this offense really fires on all cylinders, seeing that they had some success last year with Mason Fine. Now, he did get hurt in the Western Kentucky game. He was then replaced by Alec Morris, an Alabama transfer who has then graduated and moved on. But at the same time, now you get a healthy Mason Fine back. Jeffrey Wilson, who was battling a little bit of sickness in the Heart of Dallas Bowl, now works his way back into a healthy starting role, and really a very rejuvenated Jeffrey Wilson. New year, new number for the running back, the senior leading the way. But at the same time, there's some couple new additions. Most notably, Jalen Guyton, a Notre Dame transfer at wide receiver coming in, starting on the outside. What do you expect from a player like Jalen Guyton, who is a 4-star recruit coming out of Allen High School? And then also you look at really what kind of new additions are going to be able to make some immediate impacts for this Mean Green squad.
Well, definitely, Jalen Guyton has a big body. He's 6'1". You can put him alongside Turner Smiley, and now we know that Seth Luttrell is known to have prolific offenses wherever he's went. From North Carolina to Texas Tech, at Arizona and Indiana. He's established great offenses at those places, and we knew that it would only take a matter of time before it hit this North Texas Mean Green. And with those additions, it made the hashtag of New Denton more relevant for this upcoming season.
And then you look at really the FCS programs that have come into Apogee Stadium over the past couple of years. There's been a couple good ones. Last year, Bethune-Cookman. The year before that, and most notably a Portland State that actually came in and beat the Mean Green. So even though it is an FCS contest, you cannot take LAMAR lightly by any means, especially what some of the players from Beaumont and South Texas will be playing for. Of course, our thoughts and prayers down in that area. But overall, LAMAR, what does the North Texas Mean Green team have to do to slow down the Cardinals and make sure that an FCS upset doesn't happen today?
Well, I think they've got to start. They've got to come out quick. They've got to come out playing fast. They cannot have a slow start against a team that's looking for the upset. You don't want to start off slow. You want to score points early, and then you want to control the tempo throughout the game. You want to play it at your pace. You don't want to have them speed it up or slow it down, whichever one LAMAR will prefer to do in this type of game. And then you have to score touchdowns. You don't want to keep getting field goals 3-0, 6-0, 9-0. You want it 7, 14, 21 to build up that lead, to kind of put your foot on their proverbial throats.
It'll be a lot of fun to watch. North Texas and LAMAR coming up next, right around the corner. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, it'll be just about time for kickoff between the Cardinals and the Mean Green, live from Denton, Texas, and Apogee Stadium. You're watching North Texas football on NTTV Sports.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it. First impression. My way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like, That I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Again, Josh?
What? It's game day.
Welcome back to Apogee Stadium as the Mean Green and the Lamar Cardinals are set to do battle in the season opener of the 2017 campaign, year number 2 of the Seth Luttrell era. He went 5-8 last year, a .385 win percentage, led the Mean Green to a bowl game and a bowl berth against the Army Black Knights in the Heart of Dallas Bowl. On the other side, Mike Schultz in his first season at the helm of the Lamar Cardinals after Lamar went 3-8 last year. They were 3-6 out of the Southland Conference. Of course, out of Beaumont, Texas. Lamar having some issues this week in terms of Hurricane Harvey, having to deal with that. They do get an early gift here, though. They win the coin toss, and they will be set to receive. So North Texas will get the ball in the second half, and hopefully, Kennedy, the biggest part of this North Texas roster really on paper has been the defense over the past couple of years, and here's a good chance to see the defense real bright and early here at Apogee Stadium.
Most definitely, and it's primarily that secondary of the defense led by one of not only the leaders of the defense but the leaders of the entire team, and Keyshawn McClain. This senior has had an incredible career at the University of North Texas and established himself as the best player on the defensive side of the ball. Quarterbacks do not want to throw his way whenever they play the University of North Texas, so he's going to be a player that is going to be watched here tonight.
Rodney Randall back to receive for Lamar, but he'll just watch it head out of the back of the end zone as a nice kick from Trevor Moore gets things started. So Lamar and the Cardinals will take it starting at the 25-yard line. The starting lineup for the Lamar Cardinal, you look at Andrew Allen starting things off at quarterback, the senior out of Texas City, Texas, and Texas City High School. He's actually a transfer from New Mexico State, very highly touted out of high school. He was an all-county player, all-area player from Texas City, played in 17 games and 8 starts at New Mexico State, but last year played in 7 games. He had a 51% completion. He'll start in the shotgun and work to his left early on. The first throw is complete to Marcus Daggs on the far sideline for a quick completion. It's a gain of 8, and it'll be 2nd and 2 from about the 33.5 yard line.
Yes, and like you said, Andrew Allen, he didn't play a lot last year at Lamar, completed 50% of his passes, and, kind of just steadied the ship, did not turn over the ball, so you kind of know what you're going to get out of him. Somebody that's going to keep driving the ball downfield, get it to playmakers like number 1, Zay Giles, who we should be looking at, and he's just going to steady the ship.
Yeah, Zay Giles, a big force on the outside in terms of really making things happen. A big force on the inside. Well, James White, a Texas A&M transfer, heading in at running back. He is not in the ball game just yet. And actually, it's a 2-quarterback set working with the Lamar Cardinals right now. You have Daniel Colbert out there alongside Andrew Allen. So a little bit of a different look here to start things off for Lamar. You have Allen wearing number 8. You have Colbert, the junior, playing quarterback as well as they switch off. And a little bit of a different look back behind the line of scrimmage. Under pressure around the corner in North Texas, forcing a bad pass and incompletion on third down. That'll force a 4th and 8. Good pressure there on the outside coming around from the North Texas Mean Green. Colton McDonald, the senior, listed at 6'4", 210, coming in from the weak side linebacker position. Got around the outside corner, forced Colbert to make a bad pass, and there's the first stop for the North Texas defense.
And that's what you want coming out if you're this North Texas defense. Hold them to 3 plays. Get your defense off the field. It's going to be a long game. Get ready. Get some water. Let the offense get on the field.
So North Texas, with the early stop, will send Eric Jenkins back to receive the punt. And a quick penalty against Lamar. False start will send him back 5 yards. And just like that, North Texas field position looking that much better early on after this first initial stop. Talked about Lamar early on using a dual quarterback set behind the line of scrimmage, working out of the shotgun. Here's the punt. It's a low bullet straight to Jenkins. Makes one man miss, makes a couple men miss, works right up the middle of the hashes, and he's dragged down right around the 40-yard line for about a gain of 6 or 7. So a nice little return there from Eric Jenkins, and great field position for Mason Fine in the North Texas offense. Fine, a true sophomore and all CUSA freshman from a year ago out of Locust Grove, Oklahoma. Probably the most known quarterback that North Texas has had in quite some time. He was listed as the number 6 overall most important player by Dave Campbell's Texas Football in the entire state of Texas. He'll work in the shotgun. Kelvin Smith in motion on his right hip. Well, there's Jeffrey Wilson. He's going to get a hole in a push from the offensive line. Big gain on first down. He's all the way down to about the 47-yard line of Lamar as they cross midfield. One play, and it takes him all the way into enemy territory.
And when you're playing against the University of North Texas, if there's one person that you have to spotlight, it's Jeffrey Wilson. He rushed for 936 yards last year, averaging 5 yards a carry. Just an incredible
back to pass.
player.
He's going to find Kelvin Smith up the middle, a big hit, but not before he gains another first down. A lightning quick turnaround here for Seth Luttrell's up-tempo offense, not wasting any time, as there's 2 straight 13-yard completions, already 26 yards downfield. They're close to the red zone. They're on the 32-yard line as looks like a pistol formation back behind the line of scrimmage. Fine has Smith on his left hip. Back behind him is Jeffrey Wilson. Still in the shotgun. He'll hand it to Wilson. Wilson right up the middle, makes a man miss, bounces off of a defender near the 17-yard line. He's all the way down to the 14. A gain and a first down for Jeffrey Wilson inside the red zone, a place where North Texas had some success last season, as Jeffrey Wilson and Mason Fine are making it look easy on this Lamar defense.
And Jeffrey Wilson is running like a man among boys in these first couple of plays as Mason Fine draws back. Jeffrey Wilson is an incredible running back, and it was almost nominated for the Doak Walker Award for the nation's best running back last year. And so we'll see if he can follow that up this upcoming year with with this being his last year.
Yeah, he was on the watch list for this season's Doak Walker Award as well, and he's talking about how changing the different numbers could potentially encourage himself, a little motivation on his side to try and make this season better than last. Nick Smith in at tailback, and there's some pressure on Fine. He's hit as he throws. It's going to be incomplete, a little bit too short, trying to find number 21, Nick Smith, the redshirt freshman out of Arlington Martin High School just down the road. He's a highly touted recruit, a little bit undersized at 5'10", 182, but overall he's lightning fast. Wilson quickly back into the game. Rutherford down on the near sideline up top. You have Turner Smiley as well. So here's Fine back to that pistol formation. He's going to hand it off, the short hand off to Wilson. Bounces to the outside. He's going to have to stiff arm a defender. He reaches, shakes him off, and North Texas has their first touchdown of the 2017 campaign. Jeffrey Wilson from about 10 yards out takes it to the house.
And you could just tell on that play, Jeffrey Wilson was fighting his way to get into that end zone. He would not go down until he got past those orange pylons. Great job for the offensive line to open up the hole for Jeffrey Wilson, and great job for Jeffrey Wilson to break about 2 or 3 tackles and stiff arm a guy to get his way in.
Jeffrey Wilson, one of the biggest offensive contributors last year, not wasting any time getting going again as Trevor Moore is on for the extra point. Quinn Shanbor will hold. It's up, and it is good. North Texas takes an early 7-0 lead as Jeffrey Wilson rumbles his way into the end zone. We'll be back in just a little bit. Let's take a quick break. You're listening and watching North Texas football right here on North Texas Television.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
North Texas up 7-0 over the Lamar Cardinals as Jeffrey Wilson rumbles his way in, stiff arms a Lamar defender right near the 3-yard line, and then finds himself crossing the goal line for a 10-yard touchdown rush. 6 plays, 60 yards on the drive. Trevor Moore with the extra point to make it 7-0. Jeffrey Wilson, though, impressive. Kennedy in that first drive, 3 rushing attempts, 41 yards in the touchdown. That's an average of 13.7 yards per attempt as Randall back to receive the kick. Yet again, this time he's going to take it out of the end zone, and he is stuffed right around the 17-yard line. He would have definitely benefited more from just taking a knee in the end zone right there.
And back to Jeffrey Wilson. Part of those plays were the holes that the offensive line opened up, but another part was just the talent of Jeffrey Wilson and the strength that is the 4-year senior being able to break through arm tackles and just find his way throughout the holes and navigate when he got in open space.
So Lamar heading back out on offense. Daryl Colbert, the junior who transferred from SMU, actually a Houston, Texas native, a Lamar High School graduate, so not Lamar University, but goes from Lamar High School to SMU, now to Lamar University, as he hands it off right up the middle, and a quick rush there from Kendrick King gets things started. We've yet to see James White, the transfer out of Texas A&M, just yet. He was one of the more highly touted guys coming out of the summer. Here's a completion on the outside to Zay Giles, lightning quick speed. We talked about it very briefly early on, but Giles, one of the leading receiver from a year ago from this Lamar team, getting underway quickly.
And not just the leading receiver, Kyle, he was also the leading rusher. So they're going to line this guy up all over the field to try and get him in open space.
Pressure again, this time from the North Texas defensive line as Tillman Johnson gets in and forces a bad pass. And there's a flag down deep on the far sideline as the coverage was there from Kahiri Muhammad, the sophomore, 5'11", 182, as he was all over the Lamar receiver on the far sideline. It is going to be pass interference, so a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down for Lamar as the Cardinals now move on up. Instead of it being 3rd and 10, well, it's going to be a first down right near the 44-yard line, or right on top of the 44-yard line. Colbert, excuse me, I got to get used to that one. 3 for 5, 19 yards in the first drive for Lamar. As here's another rumbling attempt from King up the middle. That's only his 3rd attempt as he gets it past midfield for the first time tonight. And the Cardinals have a little bit of something cooking on offense.
And those are penalties that you can't have. It's about to be 3rd and 10. You're about to force the defense. Your defense is about to get off the field again, and then just a back-breaking penalty, an automatic first down, and 15 yards. You just can't have that happen.
King tries to bounce to the outside. Instead, he's met up with a little bit of Andrew Flushy making his way off of the defensive line. It's going to be a short 3rd down attempt here for Lamar. Back in the shotgun is Colbert. Pressure from the North Texas defense. Tualu is there. He's going to end up with the sack. Down goes Colbert right near the midfield. And North Texas forces their second stop. We'll see if there's any decision-making here from the Lamar sideline. Mike Schultz, in his first game at the helm of the Cardinals, is going to send out the punting unit. And there's another stop from the North Texas defense, standing strong yet again after a couple first down. And like you said, one of which coming off of the penalties.
And that last play, they kind of lined up, had 4 receivers kind of in a bunch formation on the outside and tried to set up a screen. But the way that the defensive line got able to push in on the quarterback forced Daryl Colbert to roll to the opposite side and force that sack. Great job by the defensive line.
So here's the short spiraling punt on the near hash. It'll take a Lamar bounce, and it'll be picked up quickly by a Cardinal right near the 19 or 17-yard line instead. 9:48 remaining here in the first quarter. North Texas leading it 7-0 against the Lamar Cardinals. North Texas 5-8 from a year ago. They were 3-3 and even 500 here at Apogee Stadium from a year ago. 2-4 on the road, 0-1 at a neutral site. That being the bowl berth against the Army Black Knights. We'll take a quick break as the first media timeout here in the first quarter. You're listening and watching North Texas football here on NTTV Sports.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
North Texas up 7-0 over the Lamar Cardinals in game number 1, week number 1 of the 2017 college football season. Kyle Yeomans alongside Kennedy Miller with 9:48 remaining in the first quarter. Still a lot of football left to play, but North Texas has dominated thus far. Lamar with only 3 first down so far, and then Jeffrey Wilson with a great touchdown run, 10 yards out, but a great drive as well, as he's going to get a lot of room to work with here on the near side. He breaks through. Jeffrey Wilson all by his lonesome. He's got a foot race. He'll step out of bounds right at the 35-yard line. Jeffrey Wilson, unbelievable. About as good of a start as the senior could have asked for in his new jersey number. And Jeffrey Wilson all the way down to the 35-yard line. A large gain there on the first play of the second drive for the North Texas Mean Green.
And that was kind of the blueprint going into the game for North Texas. This Lamar team, if they had a weakness on defense, it was giving up the run. They averaged 5.5 yards per carry. That's how much they gave up on the run against opposing running backs last year. So knowing that, North Texas is right in using Jeffrey Wilson to start off this game to try and put it away early.
North Texas and Jeffrey Wilson already at 90 rushing yards. He'll take a quick breather. This one handed off to Smith on the outside. He'll be pushed out of bounds after a modest gain, right around 5-yard gain. It was officially 49-yard run for Jeffrey Wilson. And now North Texas trying to hurry back up on offense. Quick substitution as Jalen Guyton makes his way out of the game. And back into the ball game is Kelvin Smith. He's on the right hip of Mason Fine. Back to pass is Fine. He's looking for the fade, far side. Catch is made. End zone, touchdown, North Texas. What a catch and what a play. What a throw from Mason Fine to Quentin Jackson, the 6'3" wide receiver out of Granite City, Illinois. And North Texas has utterly dominated Lamar on the offensive side of the ball. That's the first touchdown passing for Mason Fine in 294 days. Glad to see Mason Fine back and healthy as the Mean Green take a 13-0 lead. Trevor Moore on to make it a 14-0 lead.
And what a beautiful pass by Mason Fine. Kind of put it in a place where only the receiver can get it. Both of these offenses have tried to use their up-tempo style to get down the field, tire out a defense. However, the North Texas offense is converting on first and second downs and not putting themselves in third downs and driving down the field and scoring these touchdowns.
Good coverage on the outside from the defensive back in Shyler Stanton. Stanton, a sophomore out of Missouri City, Texas, was actually one of the top 400 players in the state of Texas coming out of high school and an honorable mention All-State recipient. But at the same time, he was really kind of manhandled from the very get-go as Quentin Jackson made things happen in the far back side of the end zone. So North Texas with the extra point go up 14-0 with 8:38 remaining here in the first quarter. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching North Texas football and the North Texas season opener right here on North Texas Television.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first.
Rodney Randall and DeJuan Thompson back to receive as North Texas takes a 14-0 lead with 8:38 remaining in the first quarter. The kick from Trevor Moore back in the end zone, muffed initially by Randall, but he'll just take a quick knee, and they'll take it from the 25-yard line. Jeffrey Wilson, of course, the notable player so far for North Texas. 4 attempts, 90 yards. That's 22.5 yards per carry. Mason Fine as well, though, having quite a magnificent game himself. 3 for 4, 50 yards, and now the touchdown throw to Quentin Jackson to get things started. Jackson, we talked about him, not necessarily one of the first names that come to mind whenever you talk about the receiving core of North Texas, but a big body at 6'3", 208, was able to manhandle the smaller defensive back, the 5'11", 165 sophomore from Missouri, Texas, Shyler Stanton, to get things started. As the first handoff is to Kendrick King. He'll gain about 4 yards. Looked like the ball may have come out. We'll wait for the sign from the referee. Looks like Lamar got it back, and they did. They fell on the football, as it did actually pop out of the hands of Kendrick King. North Texas in the defense that close to forcing their first turnover of the 2017 season, setting up an almost unstoppable offense thus far with great field position. This time it is going to pop out. Looks like North Texas might have fallen on that ball. A strip from the defensive back and Eric Jenkins, and North Texas has it. A fumble and a strip. What a play from the defensive back. Actually, it was Kyrie Muhammad, the sophomore, who ended up on top of that football. I believe Jenkins was the one that ripped it out of the hands of Zay Giles. But overall, North Texas and the defensive side of things now trying to keep up with the offensive fireworks as they do force their first turnover.
And what a strip by Eric Jenkins. When the pass came off the slant route, he initially went immediately for that ball and tried to strip it out, in which he was successful in getting this North Texas offense right back on the field. And you have to kind of know who they're going at, Jeffrey Wilson.
Would be surprised if they went anywhere else. Turner Smiley on the near side. You have Jalen Darden in the slot on the far side. Jalen Guyton, and of course Jeffrey Wilson out there. Nick Smith also in the backfield as well. The first pitch and catch is right back up the middle. Michael Lawrence with his first reception of the evening. And he'll make the catch out of the slot, and North Texas will move on up with another first down, their 6th of the afternoon. 93 rush yards so far for North Texas, now up to 50 passing yards. Jeffrey on the left hip. Fine looks as he's got trips receivers to the right. Turner Smiley, the lone outside receiver on the near side. Fine's going to take it and run him himself. The QB draw up the middle will gain a little bit more than initially thought. Mason Fine able to make something out of nothing, escapes from the pocket and gets about a 6-yard gain. North Texas faced with a 2nd and 4 from their 31-yard line.
And when teams are successful in running the ball, especially in this up-tempo style offense, it is so hard for defenses to adjust because there's no way they can get subs off the field. And once defenses are fatigued, then they end up giving up the big plays like we saw in that Jeffrey Wilson on the last series with Jeffrey Wilson's run.
Seen a couple of big plays. Here's another one here. Nick Smith makes a couple men miss. He gets all the way down to the 16-yard line where he's wrapped up and tackled by one of the better players on the defense for Lamar, and Rodney Randall, the junior out of Beaumont and Austin High School, able to make a touchdown-saving tackle right at the 16 as the redshirt freshman was just inches away from his first pay dirt of the entire season. 6:44 remaining here in the first quarter. North Texas at a breakneck pace on offense. Here's Jeffrey Wilson. He goes straight into the pile. He'll push it a couple yards forward for a 3-yard gain. It'll be 2nd and 7 from about the 13-yard line.
And if this North Texas team can go 3 for 3 in the red zone with 3 touchdowns, it'll be a very successful first quarter and start of the game for this North Texas Mean Green, getting their offense off to a fast start.
North Texas 27 for 41 last year inside the red zone in terms of scoring touchdowns. In terms of scoring overall, 33 for 41. They were 80% inside the 20-yard line. Belt high snap. Here's the handoff to Jeffrey Wilson. He will get nowhere, and a nice play coming through the line for Lamar and the Cardinals as Jalen Bowden, the senior, a 3-star recruit, one of the top 25 recruits coming out of JUCO this past year, makes his first tackle of the evening. Wilson will stay in the game. 2 receivers to the left. You've got Turner Smiley on the outside, Jalen Darden on the far sideline as well. In the slot, you have another North Texas freshman, as this one is thrown to Guyton, and a late flag comes in. North Texas fans rejuvenating as if it is on Lamar. From the looks and the body language of Jalen Guyton on the far sideline, this may be against North Texas. It is going to be against Lamar, and so North Texas will move just a little bit closer. And it'll be an automatic first down and a first and goal for the North Texas Mean Green as they start from the 8-yard line. Kelvin Smith back into the game. He'll be right behind the line on the left hip of Mason Fine. And they're actually going to switch hashes now as a little bit of confusion from the crew chief down on the field.
And number 9, Jalen Godden, is one of the guys that we spotlighted before this game. A Notre Dame transfer, a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. You got to think that Mason Fine is going to be looking at him in this red zone if he passes it.
Yeah, if he passes it is right. This time he hands it off to Jeffrey Wilson, and he is met with a sea of white shirts. Rodney Randall, the first Lamar Cardinal, being able to break through the line during that play, but he was met with a bunch of his friends as well. As it's a tackle for loss, back to the 9-yard line, go to the Mean Green. Forward progress is going to help them out here. And this is not what you want to see if you're a North Texas fan, as Jeffrey Wilson down on the field. Looks maybe like it could be cramps. You don't want to speculate too much, but anytime you see your ball carrier with 7 attempts, 93 yards, a touchdown, and a 49-yard run, you do not want to see him down on the field at any point, at any time, in case of trying to slow down the momentum that he's already been able to gain.
You're absolutely right. You never want to see your bell cow go down, especially this early into the season before we've started even, conference play, any of that. And so we just wish for the best that he can get up and get to the sidelines.
So while the athletic training staff attends to Jeffrey Wilson, let's look at some of the stats last year for North Texas, as they were right in the middle of the Conference USA in offensive output. Seth Luttrell coming in as an offensive guy. They averaged about 133.5 rushing yards per game, 208 passing yards per game. Overall, right around that 340 mark, which is well forward than what they were able to muster a couple years ago under Dan McCarney. So the hire of Seth Luttrell, if you wanted some high-tempo, fast-scoring offense, well, it definitely worked last year. They got a chance here to go up 21-0 before the 5-minute mark here in the first quarter. Nick Smith tries to work right back up the middle, worked the flat initially, then before he got to the numbers, bolted right back upfield. And you can see just a little bit of the agility from Nick Smith and what he's able to muster coming out of Arlington as the redshirt freshman. There is a lot of excitement around this Nick Smith running back and what he's able to do potentially after Jeffrey Wilson graduates and heads on out of North Texas.
And you hit it right on top of the head. This is Jeffrey Wilson's last year. You've got to find a replacement at the running back, and who better than a freshman coming in and already playing in this first game of the season, in his first game. And so I'm excited for Nick Smith, the quickness, like you said, the agility that he brings to the table. I'm excited for his future here.
Kelvin Smith right back up the middle in the slot. He's going to be knocked to the ground, and the ball pops out before he had possession. Incomplete pass. Lamar may have thought that could have been a fumble as quickly Daniel Crosley, the sophomore, was up on top of it. Instead, it's going to be a third down stop for the Cardinals, the first time they've been able to stop North Texas on third down so far this afternoon. Previous to that, North Texas was 2 for 2, or actually 1 for 1. Now they're 1 for 2. So Trevor Moore now on for the field goal attempt to try and make it a 17-0 lead. There's 4 minutes and 7 seconds remaining on the clock here in the first quarter. Quinn Chambord to hold. The hold is down. It's good. The kick is good as well. 17-0 North Texas is manhandling Lamar with 4 minutes and 4 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. As we are underway here in 2017, the offense of North Texas is underway as well. 17-0 our score. We'll be right back. You're watching North Texas football on NTTV Sports.
Here's your check.
got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Lamar back to receive the kick from Trevor Moore after they give up a field goal to make it 17-0 in favor of the North Texas Mean Green. A 24-yard field goal, good from Trevor Moore, and he's going to send this one all the way into the back of the end zone and back behind for a touchback. So out to the 25-yard line will go the Lamar Cardinals. So far, defensively, Kyrie Muhammad leading the way with 4 tackles. He's been outstanding on the defensive side, but really the biggest play from the North Texas defense has been the strip and the recovery, strip being from Eric Jenkins and the recovery from Muhammad himself.
And you're absolutely right. And you best believe that when teams can get a fumble, especially a strip like that early in the game, they're going to keep going at it. Every time a running back carries the ball throughout the middle, every time a receiver catches the ball, they're going to keep trying to swipe at that ball to see how many fumbles they can get.
Hall also with a couple tackles, and McDonald with a couple of tackles as well for North Texas. Back goes Colbert to pass. He shakes out of a little bit of a defending pressure all the way past the first down marker into the 37-yard line, kind of bouncing around like a pinball machine goes Colbert, and he does find a way to get the first down. That's only the 4th first down of the game for the Lamar Cardinals. He fakes the handoff. He's looking deep. Coverage is not there. Good throw is complete on the outside for another Lamar first down. That time it's to Marcus Daggs out of Ennis High School, and a junior college transfer out of Cisco Junior College.
And Darryl Colbert is no joke. I remember watching him in high school when he went to Lamar down in Houston, and he had that team as a playoff contender year after year, and he was, if not he was the best player on that Lamar team.
Yeah, 3-star recruit out of high school, makes a couple men miss on that last play. He was rated the number 32 quarterback in the nation by ESPN.com. And a first-team All-District nominee in District 25A. He's back to pass again. The pocket collapses. He somehow gets it to Zay Giles. What a play on the near side from Nate Brooks, able to bring down Giles just by the shoestrings at the 49-yard line. That'll be a tackle for a loss back behind the line of scrimmage in that initial starting position here for the first down marker. Back go the Lamar Cardinals. James White making his first appearance in the ball game as he's on the right hip. Now he's in motion. Colbert's going to look for him. He'll get it to the playmaker. He'll make 2 men miss, but he will be tripped up at midfield, and another stop from the North Texas defense. There is a Mean Green defender down on the far sideline. It looks like it might be, I can't see exactly who the number is, and I believe it's Keyshawn McClain. That's also another North Texas player, a captain that you do not want to see down. It's interesting seeing Keyshawn McClain in that number 6 jersey, though. We're number 23 all last year, as we'll look at it again here. James White made the initial man miss, and looked like McClain is okay, may just be cramping up a little bit. But at the same time, a nice play from the North Texas Mean Green, forcing another stop of the Lamar Cardinals. And you can see the excitement as Eric Jenkins heads back out on the field to receive the punt. He is the only player for either squad on the field currently, and he is standing out right around the 15-yard line as the North Texas Special Teams unit continues to meet on the sideline, as you can see in the middle of your screen. So 2:09 remaining in the first quarter. The clock continues to run as the Mean Green lead it 17-0 over Lamar. Jeffrey Wilson, Mason Fine, both of which have been almost perfect throughout their first couple of minutes of action in the 2017 season. Here's the punt from Lamar as it's placed high in the air right near the 10-yard line. That one's muffed. It's a loose ball picked up by Lamar all the way down to the 1-yard line. A boneheaded decision from Eric Jenkins as Lamar will get about as good a field position as you could potentially get at the 1-yard line. It was Brandon Dabney, the junior out of Manteca, California, and Modesto Junior College, who was able to fall on the loose ball as he's mobbed by his teammates. So usually you'll see if it's inside the 15-yard line, nonetheless the 10, return man, just vacate the area, get out of the way. That time, looked like Eric Jenkins was just a little bit too antsy. Maybe the first game jitters getting to him there, but this is a big turnover as we look at it one more time. Calls for the fair catch, then decided to go for it anyways. I think the North Texas coaching staff has maybe a bone to pick in terms of impeding the area of the fair catch, but no call from the officials. Here's the fake handoff to King. Colbert will take it up the middle. As instead of being at the 1-yard line, the initial spot was right at the 5. But he does gain a couple of yards there.
You could tell he would kind of bobble the ball. It seemed like the LAMAR defenders, when they came close, it kind of made him uncomfortable. And so he muffed the ball, and then the LAMAR defenders scooped it up.
Yeah, they definitely did. Colbert takes it himself again on the QB draw, gets it all the way down to about the 1.5-yard line. And it is going to be a big third down here for the North Texas defense. You look at the men up front, E.J. Ajayi, Tillman Johnson, Ulysses Tualo, and Andy Flushy trying to make something happen. Here's the handoff up the middle to King. He's swarmed from the backside. He'll be taken down as Tualo gets through the line, and he'll make the initial tackle. Also assisted there by Brandon Garner and Ashton Preston as the Mean Green come up big and have a goal line stand against LAMAR after the muffed punt. So a decision to make here for Mike Schultz and the offense for LAMAR. Do you go for it here, try and push yourself to try and get yourself back into the ball game down by 17 in the first quarter on a 4th and goal, or do you take the for sure points and kick the field goal here?
I think you take the for sure points. You haven't scored anything on the board. It's very tough to get to the 5-yard line and not score a touchdown. But I think in this case, you just kick the field goal, get some points on the board, and just hope that your defense can give you a couple of stops.
39 seconds on the clock till the end of the first quarter. And if you're LAMAR, you've got to be thinking points. I think I completely agree with you here. You've got a freshman kicker in Elvin Martinez out of Huntsville High School. He was a 2-time honorable mention all-district selection, so not necessarily anybody who's going to light up the scoreboard. He did kick a 53-yard field goal as a sophomore, and they're going to sit him on the sideline. They've got the entire offense from LAMAR meeting up in the huddle, including the offensive line. They've got 5 skill players, 5 linemen. They're going to break the huddle quickly. To the right is King. North Texas fans making some noise. It's a bootleg out to the left. The throw is complete to the tight end. Touchdown to Martell Hawthorne as LAMAR is on the board. It's actually Jared Wood, the tight end out of Kilgore High School, with the reception. And the decision to go for it on 4th and goal from the 2-yard line, it ends up panning out, but not by much, Kennedy.
And what a savvy design by this LAMAR offense. You have to give them credit. They lined up, turned their back to North Texas, so North Texas could not see what formation they were in, and they got the snap off quickly, threw a pass in the flat to the tight end, and got the score.
And you look at some of the past performances from Mike Schultz as a coach himself. He was an offensive coordinator at TCU for quite some time, coached players such as LaDainian Tomlinson, Andy Dalton. He's very known for giving the ball to his playmakers. Well, he gave it to a playmaker there, one of which we haven't talked about, in Jared Wood, as the extra point is good. Wood, very highly touted out of high school, and he was actually selected to play in the Chick-fil-A Heart of a Champion All-American Bowl. So a big decision there, and they got it to one of their more solid a pair of solid hands in the end zone. A great sliding catch, to say the least, from Jared Wood to make it a 17-6 game, as we have a little bit of confusion on the extra point. It's going to be offsides on North Texas, and the penalty is declined, so the extra point will count, and it is good. 17-7 our score. 34 seconds remaining in the first quarter. And so, as we're looking at this again, they said the penalty was declined, but the kick or the call was made before the kick actually happened. So North Texas will have another shot to potentially take down the Lamar extra point. Instead, it is good. So now it is officially 17-7 with 34 seconds remaining, as the Mean Green do concede their first opponent touchdown of the 2017 season. Let's take a quick break as North Texas leads it by 10. They'll get the ball back here to end the first quarter. You're watching North Texas football and the North Texas Mean Green season opener right here on NTTV Sports.
Here we go. We're going to go out there in the rain. You're going to get wet. All right, here we go. Go, okay, quick. Oh, yeah. Yes. So much fun. Mwah. So wet.
I know, I'm sorry. North Texas back to receive, actually for the first time all season long, as they're going to send a couple of Mean Green speedsters back in Jalen Darden and Jalen Guyton to receive the kick. Coming from Elvin Martinez after the Lamar scores on a 4th and goal. Very short play to make it a 17-7 score. So the kick is actually onside. Looks like Lamar may have it. The official call still not made just yet. North Texas thinks they have it. Still waiting for the official call, as the referee crew will talk things over. Lamar was about as confident as could be that they had the football. And it's going to be an illegal touching on Lamar. So North Texas will get the ball with some absolutely incredible field position. But Kennedy, how about that risky, gutsy play call from Mike Schultz and the offensive staff over on the Lamar side?
And in Lamar's case, what do you have to lose? I think that's what they're saying. And so I think it was so different from this onside kick because the kicker actually caught his own onside kick. And so that's why I think Lamar thought they had it, but there's no way that the kicker can catch it without it going 10 yards. And so it's North Texas ball just like it should be.
Yeah, it has to go 10 yards before a team on the kicking side can make any contact with the football, accidental or intentional, as the first handoff is from left to right, handing it off to Nick Smith. He'll get a modest gain of about 2.5 yards. It'll be 2nd and 8, as Smith switching in and out on the offensive side with Andrew Tucker. And Tucker continuing to have some solid playing time. Also on the field, you have Turner Smiley, Jalen Guyton, and Michael Lawrence as well. As the first quarter will come to an end, North Texas leads it 17-7 over the Lamar Cardinals. Some of the notables, well, Jeffrey Wilson, 7 attempts, 93 yards, a touchdown. And then Mason Fine, 4 for 6, 60 yards, and a touchdown throw of his own. As we'll take a break, we'll be back with the first quarter. High-scoring, exciting first quarter. And the first chapter has come to a close in this one. You're watching North Texas football on North Texas Television.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Here we go. We're going to go out there in the rain. You're going to get wet. All right, here we go. Go, okay, quick. Oh, yeah. Yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
it pretty?
Daddy,
It's pretty.
Maybe honestly,
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
North Texas at Apogee Stadium leading by 10 at the end of the first quarter as we head to the second chapter. This one, the throw up the middle is complete to Turner Smiley, but he loses the football. They're going to call it an incomplete pass. That one may or may not be challenged by the Lamar sideline, but overall, North Texas, a high-flying first quarter. They don't waste a whole lot of time doing the same thing on offense to start things off here in the second, Kennedy.
And I think the biggest difference between these two teams has got to be the rushing attack. North Texas already has 120 yards through the first quarter compared to Lamar's 37 on the ground. North Texas controlling the tempo. They've got 9 first downs already in this game, so they're getting whatever they want on the field and they're able to drive down the field every time.
Here's a free play as North Texas, actually, they're going to call it down in a neutral zone infraction from the Lamar side as there was a full-on blitz. There was no hiding that one at all as Lamar sent the entire cavalry in on that one. And there was no way for David Jernigan, the junior, to hold up. The junior out of Navasota High School, state champion, down with the Navasota Wranglers.
And he just came rushing in, didn't he? Couldn't even stop himself.
Thought for a second it was going to be a free play. Mason Fine thought so too, as the handoff's quickly up the middle to Nick Smith, and he's not going to get anywhere. He'll get it right around the first down marker. This is kind of that iffy area if you're a North Texas offensive staff. They're going to bring in Jeffrey Wilson, but a 4th and short, just out of the field goal range of Trevor Moore. So this is going to be a pretty interesting stop. If it's Lamar, this is a big stop for the Lamar defense. If they can slow down Jeffrey Wilson, it's going to be a close one. He's going to have to get the extra push, and it looks like he does have the first down on the second effort as Wilson continues to impress. That time just had to churn the feet a little bit longer as Nick Smith will re-enter. Jeffrey Wilson has done his job, and he'll head back out. Wilson very sparingly in the game after cramping up in the first quarter. It looked like he was okay there. Smith back on the left side. You have Michael Lawrence in the game as well. Short handoff up the middle as Fine hands it back to Smith. And Smith, now with his 6th carry of the afternoon, gets about a 3-yard gain to put him up to 26 on the evening.
And we saw at the beginning of the second quarter, Jeffrey Wilson was getting it looked like his calf massaged on the sideline.
And another handoff to Smith as Seth Luttrell continues to pound it on the ground. Wilson comes back in. It'll be about a 3rd and 5 try from around the 39, 38-yard line. Got Jalen Guyton on the near side, who has yet to have a reception. Quentin Jackson makes his way off. You've got Michael Lawrence, Kelvin Smith, Kirian Rutherford out there as well. Lamar showing blitz, a little bit of shifting as they switch back to the 3-4. Middle linebacker looking to go up the middle. They're going to hand it to Wilson. He breaks to the outside, has some room to work with. He has the first down and a little bit of extra change added to it as well as he's pushed out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. Back to the red zone. Go North Texas, where they are 3 for 3 in scoring drives, 2 for 3 in terms of scoring touchdowns thus far, as Wilson is now past the 100-yard mark on the afternoon.
And Kyle, it seems pretty evident that although North Texas is driving down the field, their big plays come when Jeffrey Wilson enters the game.
Here's Mason Fine trying to make a play of his own as the pocket collapsed on him, had nowhere to go. Instead, escapes right through the middle, and he'll have a couple yards gain there as he's definitely animated. You don't normally see Mason Fine animated either to the sideline or toward a teammate. Couldn't see exactly where he was pointed at, but he had all of his attention toward the near side, and Looked like Mason Fine was a little upset with what had just happened in the play breaking down. As Jeffrey Wilson here, the read option as he does break away, but he's going to be sacked. Nice job by the defense of Lamar coming up big. And a big stop that time from William McVeigh as he was able to break through the line and make the stop. It was also Cameron Hampton in. I believe Hampton's going to be the one issued with the sack. It will be Hampton who will have the sack. It might be an assisted sack there for McVeigh, but overall, Hampton, one of the better linebackers on this Lamar team, had some issues off the field that he had to work out and work through this past week, but since then he has showed up in force. And North Texas now with a 3rd and long attempt. Finds Lawrence up the middle. That's going to be close to the first down marker. He'll see what the spot is. It'll take a pretty generous one to get the first down, and they will. A big first down on 3rd and long as Mason Fine finds Michael Lawrence in the slot and on the slant route to make the first down reception.
And a big reason why this Lamar defense is having some success other than that first down they just gave up, they're really playing the snap count really well. They're timing it. They're trying to get to the line and stop the rushing attack before it can get to them.
So the Jeffrey Wilson rush goes all the way toward the 1-yard line as North Texas knocking it on the door yet again of making this a 24-7 ball game. As they're going to bring in some extra blockers. Wilson in the backfield, Kelvin Smith in there, alongside another substitute in Cannon Mackey. Smiley, the lone receiver to the left. A handoff and a big hole for Jeffrey Wilson as he will high step his way past the goal line. North Texas continues to dominate. It is now 23-7 Mean Green.
And Jeffrey Wilson just kind of waltzed in there. Kind of got a little push from a Lamar defender, but other than that, he just kind of jogged in the end zone. It just seems like he finds the right holes. He's physical. He's strong enough to be able to break through the first tackle, and he gets to wherever he wants to on this football field.
Once again, Trevor Moore on for the extra point. North Texas in the rushing game, like you talked about very briefly earlier, is exactly what they've needed from Jeffrey Wilson. He's been outstanding over the past couple of years, and this year looking completely to try and turn it around. Let's take a quick look at this touchdown play. What did you see, Kennedy, from this offensive line?
Well, I saw them kind of put it in a formation where it's like UT used to call it the 18-wheeler set, where they just kind of bulldoze their way and just beat you at the line of scrimmage. We're just going to outman you, and we're going to give it to our bell cow, and he's going to take us to the promised land. And that's what Jeffrey Wilson did right there.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wilson now with 11 rushes, a 114-yard mark, 2 touchdowns, and a 10.4 average per carry. As North Texas continues to dominate, you can see the domination there on the offensive side of things. You have the 3 touchdowns, the field goal, and then, yes, they did have the 1 fumble. That was even on a kick. That wasn't necessarily even offense. That was more of a special teams mistake. And North Texas offensively has been outstanding, especially whenever you talk about Mason Fine and Jeffrey Wilson. We put a lot of emphasis back on Mean Green Game Day talking about the wide receiving core, Jalen Guyton, how exciting he is coming in out of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and Trinity Valley Community College. And then you look at really what Jeffrey Wilson has been able to do today. He's overshadowed it all.
And that's the guy that we've talked about all offseason because of his great season last year. And can he build upon that last season? And this first game, it's looking like he's going to be able to do so.
Yeah, he has been outstanding, and he's had his way every single step of the way. You can't discredit the defense either. You've got Kyrie Muhammad coming in, a relatively unknown player who's starting at the safety position. And as a sophomore, Muhammad's showing some definite promise with 5 tackles tonight, 3 of which have been solo tackles. He did force the fumble as well. Keyshawn McClain also making a little bit of an impact. He has a tackle for loss. And then you have Nate Brooks, Andy Flushy also being able to get in there as well. So the North Texas defense has been outstanding, the usual standing up and making their presence felt as well. But the offense has definitely been the key so far here in the first half.
Well, and you have to give a lot of credit to the offense because that last drive was very critical, because if Lamar had got a stop, and force the offense to punt, Lamar would have gained a lot of momentum scoring and then getting the ball back immediately after that. And so a lot of credit goes to the offense for being able to go through that drive and score a touchdown and kind of put the momentum right back in North Texas' favor.
As Randall fields this one inside the end zone, he has a couple holes to work with. As his blockers continue to stay in their lanes, he'll push his way all the way to the 30-yard line before being brought to the turf. But at the same time, how about let's go back to Graham Harrell and going forward on 4th down in that neutral kind of territory where you're iffy about a field goal, but at the same time, he had the confidence in Jeffrey Wilson to hand it. Not only did they just hand it to Jeffrey Wilson, a player in which every person in the entire stadium knew it was going to, but they also ran it in the same place that everyone expected it to go, right up the middle.
Well, wouldn't you do the same? The old cliche says if it's not broke, don't try and fix it. And so Jeffrey Wilson, don't try and fix it. Just give him the ball and just block for him.
And they've definitely done so. The offensive line has looked outstanding as well. A couple different times that it's collapsed as North Texas able to stop the Lamar Cardinals here early in the drive for a modest gain. It'll be about 2nd and 5 from the 36-yard line of Lamar's side of things. We're going to send King in motion to the right side. Colbert looks to his right. He'll be stacked up right near the line of scrimmage. Colbert not afraid to throw the body around. He did the same thing for SMU quite a bit, down playing for Chad Morris down the road. SMU, of course, North Texas' next opponent. But you look at Colbert's numbers at SMU. He played in 12 games in his career, 19 for 32 passing. That's a 59% passing mark. As this one up the middle, incomplete as he was looking for Zay Giles. Good coverage there from Keyshawn McClain and Kyrie Muhammad. And that'll be 4th down for the Lamar Cardinals.
And Daryl Colbert is looking for a flag on that play. He thought his receiver was held during the throw, and he thought it should have been pass interference and an automatic 1st down.
I think he may have a little bit of a case to plead as well. He was even looking at the replay, pointing at it and pleading his case to the referee back behind, the head referee, of course. And so Lamar will send on the punting unit. Eric Jenkins out to receive it. This will be the first time that Jenkins has received a punt since muffing the last one. This one's a short punt, and it'll be corralled by the Lamar defender right near the 33-yard line. So another good field position start here for North Texas, as Mason Fine will lead the troops back out to the line of scrimmage. Actually, I'm going to take that back. It looks like maybe Quinn Shanborn might make his way in for the first time tonight. We'll see exactly which quarterback will head out. Fine didn't have his helmet on initially. Shanborn who was looking to go into the huddle, both of which are standing next to each other on the near sideline, just at the lower left-hand part of your screen. And so looking at North Texas, you've got a decision to make. Of course, Mason Fine battled through some injuries last year, missed the last 3 games of the season. He left early in the Western Kentucky match. He was then replaced by Alec Morris, and Morris continued the entire way. And the way that Mason Fine's been playing today, he hasn't had a whole lot of live action since that Western Kentucky game. And do you want to have Mason Fine play a little bit longer to try and get that kind of experience as still a young quarterback, or at the same time, would you like to play it safe and make sure he's healthy heading in the conference play?
I would lean on the side of making sure he's healthy, leaning in the conference play. He's not the biggest guy. He's not your quote-unquote ideal quarterback who's 6'4", 220. Mason Fine is 5'11". He's almost got the build of maybe a college version of Russell Wilson. And so when you have a guy of that stature, you would like him to get reps, but we know that he's our clear-cut number 1 guy. And so you would want him to be ready, to be 100% for the Western Kentuckys, for the Middle Tennessees, for the Louisiana Techs, and not to go down in a game against Lamar University in the first game of the season.
Definitely so. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of role that decision will play later in the ball game, as this has been some extra time here during the media timeout. But we don't take a break here on North Texas Television. So let's talk about some of the statistics in terms of really the comparison of both teams. You have North Texas with 217 total yards of offense compared to 91 yards for the Lamar Cardinals. And then 141 yards rushing, 44 for Lamar, 76 yards passing for North Texas. I mean, you just said it yourself, Kennedy. If it's not broke, then why try and fix it? The rushing game's been working. Continue to keep it on the ground. We'll see exactly what they do here. Fine is indeed back out playing quarterback. He's looking for Lawrence up the middle. Instead, he's going to find Jalen Guyton. That's Guyton's first reception in a North Texas uniform. And it'll be about 5-yard gain there on first down. 9 minutes remaining here in the first half of action. Down at about the 2nd and 4 mark. You got Nick Smith on the left hip of Mason Fine. Down on the near sideline, you have Guyton, and then trips receivers to the left of Mason. He's going to hand it off to Jeffrey Wilson. Wilson bounces to the left side. He's got a lot of room to work with. One blocker to his left. He's going to have a foot race to the end zone. Jeffrey Wilson will take it all the way. Wilson, with his 3rd touchdown of the night, continues to dominate the Lamar defense, and North Texas takes a 30-7 advantage.
And what a great run by Jeffrey Wilson. And you start to see this Lamar defense, because they're giving up so much yardage on the run, that they're trying to blitz their linebackers, and Jeffrey Wilson is smart enough to know, if I can cut it outside, they're bringing the blitz on the inside, so there'd be no help on the outside. If I can cut free, then I'll have an easy touchdown like he just did.
62 yards into the end zone for Jeffrey Wilson, and that's where he saw a lot of success last year, as this kick is up and good from Trevor Moore. But where Jeffrey Wilson saw success last year was where he went up the middle, then bounced around to the outside. We'll see it again right here as he looked right up the middle, had nowhere to go. Mason Fine even with a little side block there. And how about the downfield blocking from the receiving corps, as it looks like it's Jalen Darden, the freshman, laying down a savvy block. And usually a slot receiver with the size of Darden, who's listed at 5'9", 157, usually doesn't lay a block like that one on a Division I defender. But there was a prime example of North Texas and the improvement that they've had. 31-7 our score, 8:28 remaining in the first half. Let's take a quick break as North Texas leads it over Lamar.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
8:28 remaining in the second quarter. North Texas leads the Lamar Cardinals 31-7 as North Texas opens up the season against the FCS opponent. They'll take on SMU next week on the road down in Dallas. And then after that, they'll take on the Iowa Hawkeyes on their way up the road to Iowa to take on the Big Ten opponent. Their Power 5 matchup, but they're controlling the FCS side of things thus far, 31-7, and Jeffrey Wilson is a big reason for that, Kennedy.
Definitely, and like you mentioned, the blocking. Jeffrey Wilson is getting everything that he wants. 12 attempts for 176 yards, a whopping 14.7 yards per carry. I mean, every time he touches the ball, it looks like he's about to break for a big run.
So a new place kicker in, as Trevor Moore will take a quick break, and Blake Patterson will have his first action, as here's some open room for Zay Giles. He returned a 98-yard kick back against Sam Houston State last year, and now he is all the way back over on the near sideline, and a nice play by Patterson. Just talked about him. He was really the lone man back for North Texas to try and keep Giles out of the end zone, and he was able to make the play, stepped right in front of him, and pushed him on the near sideline. Even though it was a big gain, it could have been much worse without the kicker coming in and making a great play.
And I'll tell you what, this Zay Giles kid is very explosive. He's very explosive from the backfield in the slot, and as we just saw, returning kicks.
As the first play from the Lamar side of things goes nowhere, Kendrick King with a little bit of a run. So Colbert back into the game. They're going to hand it back off to King. He has a little bit of room to work with. Actually, no, Colbert keeps him himself. It's a quarterback change, actually. Andrew Allen in the game out of Texas City. Texas, we talked about him earlier. He actually played the first snap and then was replaced by Colbert out of New Mexico State, Texas City High School. Very highly touted out of the high school game. He played well against Sam Houston State last year. Actually had 7 games of action, as this time Lamar makes it close to the first down marker. So it's going to be 4th and very short. About 4th and half of a yard right near midfield. Down 31-7. You would expect Lamar to at least give a shot at this one. And North Texas has a chance to stand up on defense again. Mean Green stacking the box, looking for the run. They're going to hand it off. They're fake the handoff. The ball's actually dropped. Allen dropped back behind the line of scrimmage, and the North Texas defense forces a stop on 4th down. Brandon Garner, the redshirt junior, able to get through the line of scrimmage after the initial fumble from Andrew Allen, and North Texas will have some magnificent field position yet again to work with on this drive.
And that's one of the big things when you make a quarterback change midway through the game, is that the backup quarterback or the quarterback that comes in, he hasn't really got a rhythm. He hasn't really been able to throw the ball like the quarterback that was in. And so you saw on that 4th and inches, Andrew Allen, he kind of bobbled the ball a little bit on a crucial 4th down and ended up giving up a turnover on downs.
So another chance here for North Texas and Jeffrey Wilson. Fine and Wilson in the backfield. You have Darden, Lawrence, Smiley, and Guyton all in, as this one's aimed right at Darden. He's going to take a lick from Rodney Randall running over from the far side, and Darden couldn't hold on. The freshman listed at 5'9". We talked about him earlier, laying a key block on that 62-yard score from Jeffrey Wilson. And so now a couple substitutions. Mason Fine back in the shotgun. And Darden will make his way off. Turner Smiley still in the ballgame. They're going to fake the handoff to Smith. Rolling out is Fine. Off-balance throw to the sideline. It's dropped by Guyton right at the 31-yard line. A good throw, about as good of a throw as you could ask for, as defenders were in between, as Mason Fine was off balance, as it looks like there could be an injury, and there is, as that's Cameron Hampton, arguably one of the better defenders on this Lamar roster, making their way down.
And Mason Fine, he kind of got up limping on the throw after he was knocked down, and he's kind of walking gingerly to the sideline and to the huddle.
So we'll see exactly where that could potentially lead. That's not anything that you want to see if you're a North Texas fan by any means. You've already seen Keyshawn McClain a little banged up. Jeffrey Wilson early on cramping out as well. So it could be potentially something to worry about if you are a North Texas fan. He is in the ball game still, though. Jeffrey Wilson also in as well. Lawrence, Smiley, and Guyton in the ball game. They're going to fake the handoff to Smith, stepping up into the pocket. He'll be wrapped up and brought down for the sack. And a big Daniel Crosley, the 6'1", 240-pound sophomore out of DeRidder, Louisiana, will make the stop on 3rd down and force North Texas to punt for the first time this afternoon.
And we talked about how long Mason Fine would stay in this game. I think we should talk about how long Jeffrey Wilson should stay in this game as well. If the game gets out of hand, what is the point of keeping your best players in the game? Have some of the younger guys get in, have them get their reps, and get game experience for them as well.
Solid punt there from the North Texas side of things as it makes its way out of bounds inside the 20-yard line, right around the 17. And I think you're making an excellent point, Kennedy, in terms of Jeffrey Wilson. They've already been kind of delegating half of the snaps to Nick Smith, and the redshirt freshman making some moves and trying to get some experience underneath his belt. But at the same time, Jeffrey Wilson, he's already racked up the stats that could impress anybody. And then you look at what he could potentially be for you later down in the season, the star running back that he could potentially be. Well, it might be a good idea to make sure that he doesn't have any kind of nagging injury heading into conference play as well.
And, I mean, say you score 2 more touchdowns before this game gets to halftime. Is there any need to keep them in the game?
Here's Colbert going deep. It's going to be incomplete, out of bounds on the far sideline as the coverage was there from Kimion Hall. Junior listed at 5'11", 185 was there. Starting over Eric Jenkins at the cornerback position. It was a surprise on Media Day back on Tuesday during the Seth Luttrell press conference. As the handoff's up the middle to Kendrick King, he'll bounce his way up through the line of scrimmage right around the 21.5-yard line. 5:50 remaining here in the first half. It's been a slow-moving first half, mostly because of all the scoring that North Texas has been able to have. 31-7. And we still have 5.5 minutes left till the halftime break. Colbert back out in the shotgun after Andrew Allen ran the last play, or the last drive for Lamar. So step back to throw, right back up the middle. Zay Giles spins and able to make the reception. And a nice play by Kyrie Muhammad, the sophomore who's been all over the middle of the field for the North Texas defensive side of things. Able to make the shoestring tackle to bring down Giles, who was this close to spinning away.
And like you said, he was really close to getting away from that tackle. You cannot half-heartedly tackle Zay Giles. Do not let his height at 5'8" fool you. You have to 100% try and bring this young man down because he is very elusive, he is very agile, and he is very dangerous in the open space.
He's been outstanding tonight for Lamar Cardinals. Back goes Colbert. He's going to be hit hard as he throws. The deep ball is complete to a wide open receiver down the field. Martell Hawthorne, the junior out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, finds his way behind the North Texas defense, and an unbelievable prayer of a throw is completed. Colbert all the way to Hawthorne for 6, and Lamar has a little bit of hope down in the last couple minutes here in the first half.
And that's exactly what you want to have in your quarterback if you're the Lamar Cardinals. You want a guy that's going to stand in the pocket. He knew he was going to take a hard shot, but he still delivered the deep throw, accurate, and led his receiver on to the touchdown.
68 yards. Colbert to Hawthorne. Let's look at it again here as the Mean Green do concede their biggest play of the season. The pressure was there. The throw was there as well. It looked like just Nate Brooks beat on the outside, maybe a blown coverage situation. Hawthorne sometimes plays out of the tight end position. That time he was in the slot working, just kind of a poster or a straight seam route right back up the middle. 5 plays, 83 yards, and a 1-minute, 11-second drive for North Texas for Lamar, as they do bring the lead back within, I'm not very good at math, but 17 would be the score of that one. 31-14, 4:59 as we are finally inside the 5-minute mark here in the second quarter.
And that might be one of the more impressive throws of this entire half. Daryl Colbert barely had a chance to set his feet and threw a 60-yard bomb, and the ball actually kept sailing. It wasn't short. It led his receiver on to the touchdown.
Hawthorne, one of the more experienced receivers, as this kick return is going to be taken by Jalen Darden. We'll get his first burst of speed. He'll spin his way all the way to the 35-yard line, upset with himself on the near sideline. As you can see, the emotion from the young freshman who has gotten some considerable playing time coming out of high school last year, now straight into the Division I ranks, and he had some room to work with on that kick return. Just kind of got tripped up, and a nice play by the Lamar kick coverage to bring him down before Darden had any room to work. Lightning quick speed from the freshman out of Arlington High School.
And will North Texas try and score on this possession to, kind of keep the momentum on their side going into halftime?
As Nick Smith will pound his way back up the middle, 4-yard gain all the way to the 39. Mason Fine, still in the ball game. Nick Smith behind him as the tailback. Kelvin Smith as well, accompanying Fine back behind the line of scrimmage. 4:30 remaining here in the second quarter as the handoff up the middle as Smith tries to work his way to the near sideline, finds a hole, and he'll get past that first down marker almost toward midfield. A nice push from the offensive line led by Creighton Barr. Barr has been outstanding for Coach Luttrell over the past 2 seasons. The junior leading this offensive line as the center of the middle out of Flower Mound Marcus High School.
Speaking of push from the offensive line, he actually had to push one of his offensive line to get 2 or 3 extra yards on that play.
Yeah, Barr behind Alex Woodworth as the fake handoff and the read options taken by Mason Fine. He'll evade one defender and then duck down safely onto the carpet for a considerable gain of 4 yards. Smith now out as a part of the trips receivers to the right. Lawrence out there as well. And you also can see Quentin Jackson on the on the near sideline as well. Rutherford on the far sideline as the throw is into the flats to Smith. Blocking is there. Smith makes 2 men miss all the way to the 40-yard line as he'll wrap up the ball on his way to the ground. Comes up limping a little bit, but another first down for the Mean Green. Their 15th of the night so far.
And Mason Fine, who's up now and running the offense again, he kind of stayed on the ground for a little bit after he took a hard shot delivering that pass.
North Texas up over 300 yards now in the ball game. 218 of those rushing, 90 of which are passing. As here's a delayed handoff and the run up the middle. The ball pops out, but it'll make its way out of bounds. As the handoff to Andrew Tucker is taken out of bounds, and the flag will be down. It's going to be holding on North Texas. So after the first down run, they're going to turn the right back around and they'll backtrack.
And both teams have played a relatively clean game. There hasn't been a lot of flags, not a lot of unnecessary calls. Both teams have played a relatively clean first half.
Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of penalties thus far. So Fine, per usual, back in the shotgun. Lamar back to a 4-man front as they bring up the outside linebacker playing a Cardinal-type position. As here's Tucker trying to bounce to the outside. He'll be dragged down by the shoulder pads. He didn't think he was down, but the referees do say his knee did touch the turf. And after the 10-yard penalty, Tucker's able to gain back about 6 yards, all the way up past midfield yet again. Nick Smith on the right hip, trips to the left. Jalen Guyton by himself on the near side. Guyton, of course, the transfer out of Notre Dame, now faced with man-to-man coverage. Fine, looking up the middle, a wide open Michael Lawrence. He's going to make the reception and take it to the house. North Texas continues to impress. Mason Fine with his second touchdown throw of the afternoon, and Michael Lawrence with his 3rd reception and his first touchdown of the 2017 campaign.
And Mason Fine with a beautiful pass. His mother must have been a sewer because he definitely knew how to thread that needle right there. He put it right in the pocket and delivered it to the receiver before the safety could come over for help.
It was really just kind of a pile of humanity in the middle of the field. And Lawrence made his way, poking through the white jerseys and finding his way behind the Lamar defense. Mason Fine, got to give him credit with the awareness to try and find the lone Michael Lawrence and find him on a perfect throw right up the middle. Let's look at it again. Fine with the 3-step drop. Instantly recognized that Lawrence was the lone green jerseys, and he was in the middle of all the white in the middle, and that made no difference whatsoever. 38-14 the score as North Texas leads Lamar here in the season opener, and we have yet to hit the halftime break. You're watching North Texas football as they lead at 38-14 with 1:56 remaining in the second quarter right here on North Texas Television.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Blake Patterson on to send this one deep. 1:56 remaining here in the first half. North Texas leading Lamar 38-14 as Jeffrey Wilson and Mason Fine have put on a fireworks show, as this one's going to be taken by Zay Giles right near the goal line. He'll be pushed out of bounds on the far sideline just past the 20-yard line, and a nice play from North Texas and Greg White defending on the kick return. North Texas was 16 first downs, 358 yards of total offense, 224 on the ground, 134 yards in the air. Only 2 penalties for 25 yards for North Texas, one of which was a 10-yard holding penalty on that last drive. It did not matter because the next play, Mason Fine found Michael Lawrence for a 44-yard touchdown reception. So back out on the field as Colbert will take it. He'll hand it, or fake the handoff to James White on the flat. They're going to give it to the outside receiver. I couldn't exactly see who that was. It's number 23. That's Kirkland Banks with the reception, his first action of the afternoon. As the North Texas band makes their way onto the far sideline. Colbert in some trouble. Here comes the North Texas defensive line, and he's just forced to throw it away. Tualu gets past the line of scrimmage, able to force a bad pass, and then at the same time, he was accompanied by Cannon Mackey as well.
And you got to think this Lamar team is going to try and run basically a 2-minute offense to try and get some more points on the board going into halftime.
Very surprised that they have yet to utilize James White. That's actually his first rush of the entire ball game, as Colbert does hand it to White, and he goes nowhere. He's stopped by the North Texas defensive line. Lamar has yet to really get any kind of push on the defensive line, led by Tillman Johnson, Ulasi Tualu, and Andrew Flishy. And so looks like a timeout called by North Texas with 1:20 remaining on the clock, potentially here to try and preserve some time for a little bit of a try here for the second quarter and try and put some more points on the board. We'll be right back after a quick break as North Texas leads it 31-14 or 38-14 over Lamar.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
So back here at Apogee Stadium, Colbert wrapped up by Tualu. What a show of strength from Ulasi Tualu, the 6'2", 287-pound defensive lineman, the nose tackle, with his first sack of the year. And that time he pulled him down with his right arm, and only his right arm, just got a hold of the jersey, and Colbert had nowhere to go.
That's right, never let go. He was getting blocked and just holding on for dear life, and eventually he kind of got his body free where he can just toss Dale Colbert to the ground.
What a play from Tualu, rocking the big hair and the big right arm in that last defensive stop. So that'll put a 4th and long situation up on the board for Lamar, as they're going to talk things over on the far sideline before sending out the special teams unit. 1:13 remaining, so North Texas and Mason Fine will have roughly about a minute on the clock before the end of the first half, as they do lead at 38-14. 224 rushing yards. We've talked about it. Jeffrey Wilson with the majority of those so far in the ball game. Time of possession, well, it's definitely been toward North Texas's side of things. 18 minutes and 20 seconds of possession for North Texas compared to 10 minutes and 29 seconds for the Lamar Cardinals. So Martinez back to punt. He sends this one high in the air, a spiraling kick. Lands right around the 40-yard line, and it'll be downed after a Lamar bounce. But for some reason, Ruben Randall decided that he wanted to down it at the 30-yard line instead of letting that ball bounce a little bit more.
Definitely. It's a very questionable decision. But North Texas has 1:06 on the clock. Let's see if they try and get another score here. And so after that, we'll make it 45-14 or maybe 41-14, and maybe you can rest those starters going into the second half.
Now, I did put out on my Twitter account this past week that I felt like North Texas could put up 45-plus points in the ball game. Now, I did not say 45-plus points in the first half, and they could do so with a touchdown and an extra point here on this final drive of the first half. Fine back to pass on the screenplay. What a block up the middle from the big boy up front. That's going to spring open Nick Smith for a first down play as Jordan Murray, the biggest body. When I say big boy, I mean the biggest, as a 6'9", 333-pound Coppell, Texas native, laid a block on the defender on the far sideline of the Lamar Cardinals and sprung open Nick Smith for a considerable first down gain. Here's Fine looking to the right side. He's going to find Jalen Guyton with plenty of room to work. Guyton smartly gets out of bounds. And with only one timeout remaining and 42 seconds on the clock, Guyton didn't want to risk taking on 3 of the Lamar defenders. Instead, just walked his way toward the near sideline.
And Jalen Guyton, like you said, he had a lot of room over there to operate and did the smart thing, getting out of bounds, stopping the clock, keeping this drive in good condition.
Fine back to pass one more time. He's going to send it to the dump-off man and Nick Smith, who will be twisted around and brought down after about a 4-yard gain. The clock continuing the run, so North Texas in the hurry-up mode offense. And it looks like North Texas is actually going to spend their final timeout here the first half. You'd think potentially you could have used it to set up a field goal unit, but instead, North Texas takes their timeout here. Looked like Mason Fine may have come up limping one more time. He was very tenderly heading back into the huddle, but with 35 seconds left, what do you expect from the North Texas offense here? Are you expecting maybe working the sidelines again or try a couple deep bombs with a 2nd and 3 or a 2nd and 7 opportunity to come?
I think you try a couple of deep balls towards the sidelines. That way, if there's a catch, then you can get out of bounds. However, if you do get a first down, the clock does stop until the chains are moved there officially. And so you've got yourself a little bit of time. I don't think they're going to try and settle for a field goal anymore since they don't have any more timeouts left. So I do think there'll be a couple of deep shots towards the end zone.
Rutherford, Smith, and Lawrence on the far sideline in the trips formation. Nick Smith on the hip of Mason Fine. You have Jalen Guyton on the near sideline, the lone receiver on the home side. Here's a flag thrown in from behind the line of scrimmage. Most likely it'll be a false start. The clock ticked down to 33. And they are going to call it on North Texas. So a 5-yard penalty will push them back behind the initial first down marker. 35 seconds still on the clock. The same formation from North Texas, as it's now a 2nd and 11 to go for the Mean Green. Lamar showing blitz. Here they bring it up the middle to throw to Guyton, thrown behind him, and it looked like Guyton did not necessarily have either the right route or for sure was not on the same page as Mason Fine, as both Fine and Guyton were confused after the throw went behind the Notre Dame transfer.
Yeah, there was definitely confusion on that play. I'm not sure if Jalen Guyton wanted to pass ahead of him or if Mason Fine was trying to put it in the spot where Jalen Guyton should have been.
Only took 3 seconds off the clock, but now you got to worry about the first down marker as it's a 3rd and 12. Lamar not showing blitz as they did this time. They do bring the safety blitz, though. Mason Fine in trouble. He's got to look behind him. The throw up forward to Jalen Guyton. He'll be pushed back behind the initial line of scrimmage. It's right around the 39-yard line where they're going to mark his forward progress. And so the clock is running. 13 seconds left. 4th down. It looks like there might be one final heave to the end zone. It looks like one of the North Texas linemen, Creighton Barr, is down on the 45-yard line. That's a big piece to your offensive line that's laying right near midfield. Creighton Barr, we talked about him earlier, 6'3", 301 pounds out of Flower Mound Marcus High School. And hopefully there's an update from the officials because of the injury timeout from Creighton Barr. Lamar elects to run out the second half. So a 10-second runoff, which does bring it into the second quarter. North Texas will have to wait till the third quarter as they do receive the second half kickoff to try and reach that 45-point mark. But overall, a great first half, Kennedy, for North Texas. 38-14 the score as they do lead it here at Apogee Stadium at the end of the first half. We'll be back after halftime as North Texas in the Mean Green take on the Lamar Cardinals here in the season opener of the 2017 season.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Welcome back to Apogee Stadium in Denton, Texas, as North Texas leads 38-14 over the visiting Lamar Cardinals. North Texas with almost 400 total yards of offense in the first half compared to 182 total yards for Lamar. North Texas will receive the second half kickoff to get things started. Quickly, let's run through some of the first half comparison, Kennedy, as we get ready for this third quarter of action.
Yeah, and the biggest thing really is the rushing and the first downs that they've got from it. They've outrushed them 224 yards to 53 yards. That is a difference of almost 200 yards in just one half. And on third downs, on first downs, North Texas has gotten 18 first downs because of their ability to rush the ball compared to Lamar's only 8.
Yeah, it's been outstanding. North Texas has dominated both sides of the ball. You looked at the little graphic that popped up very minimally before the kickoff actually happened. The kickoff actually went out of bounds. So North Texas with some outstanding field position to start the second half. There we go. Get to see the graphic one more time. 129 yards passing for Lamar. That's really the only kind of success that they've had. The majority of that came on a 63-yard touchdown strike early in the second quarter. And other than that, it's been all North Texas on both sides.
Definitely. And North Texas is controlling the way that this game is played right now. They're playing at their tempo because of their ability to run the ball. They're playing it at a pace where they would like to run it at, and it's kind of got Lamar off kilter here.
You kind of talked about it in the open. Also, during Mean Green Game Day, we talked about having to win the battle in the trenches as Nick Smith will make his way to the outside for a first down as he finds his way past the 45-yard line and ducks out of bounds on the far sideline. But winning the battle in the trenches is all that North Texas has done so far. They've been on both offense and the defensive lines, been able to really control both sides of the ball, and that's really been a huge key in how that first half really played out.
And, yeah, on the defensive side of the ball, Lamar, off of a muff punt, got the ball at the 5-yard line, and the first 3 plays they ran were run plays. Now, they did end up scoring, but that defensive line really stood up and stopped them from getting in the end zone by running the ball.
This pass right down the line of scrimmage is complete to Kelvin Smith on the near sideline. Smith, who was most likely going to be in the tight end the entire time last time last time out in the 2016 season. He was always going to be up on the line playing tight end. This time he's kind of slimmed down a little bit, and in the 2017 season be expecting to see him play as really a slot receiver or even an outside guy sometimes, especially with the size and speed that he possesses. Here's a long throw to Jalen Guyton. It's complete inside the 15-yard line as Guyton pulled out of bounds, had an extra step on his defender, and Mason Fine with an absolute dime down the sideline, and the nice catch from the Notre Dame transfer makes it 1st and 10 inside the 12-yard line.
And that's one of the things that North Texas was very excited about, landing Jalen Guyton, another weapon for Mason Fine to throw too deep next to Turner Smiley.
And we've seen some stuff from Jalen Guyton just on a little bit of the highlight plays that he had at Trinity Valley, as this handoff's right up the middle to Nick Smith. But Guyton, a very physical wide receiver, even though he's not necessarily the biggest guy on the field, only listed at 6'1", 194, but he's all muscle, especially in the upper body. And he really makes any kind of cornerback have to really physically bow up and try and stop him in the middle of a route. That time, he was just able to have his way. There's Nick Smith all wide open on the left side. He'll trot his way into the end zone. North Texas eclipsed the 40-point mark with 12:31 remaining in the third quarter as they continue the route of Lamar here in the season opener.
And that was just a well-designed play to go against the defense of Lamar. If you saw how they lined up, the corners were really giving a lot of cushion to the receivers. And so Turner Smiley ran a slant on the outside, and it allowed the running back to just catch the ball in the flat and have nobody else to beat but a linebacker coming over.
Yeah, Nick Smith, who has really kind of been controlled in terms of rushing, has really stepped up in the passing game, though, as he does catch his first touchdown of the evening. 4 receptions for 35 yards, his longest being that 9-yard touchdown reception. As we take another look at it, Mason Fine dropped back. He knew initially he was looking for Nick Smith on that left side. The only guy to beat was Cameron Hampton, who is a pretty good one to beat because Cameron Hampton, one of the best linebackers in the entire Lamar defensive unit. But at the same time, Nick Smith had nowhere but open space to work with as he scores to make it a 45-14 lead. North Texas leads it here in the third quarter. We'll be right back after the break here on North Texas Television.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes, and you come to mine. This is it. First impression. My way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined.
Apogee Stadium rocking here on Saturday night. Game 1 of the 2017 season, completely controlled by the North Texas Mean Green, 45-14. You look at what North Texas was able to do last year against their FCS opponent in Bethune-Cookman, a 41-20 score there. And then the year before, dare we mention it, a 66-7 loss to Portland State. What a turnaround it's really been, just in terms of comparing with these FCS schools over the past 2 years. Much, much better this afternoon, Kennedy.
Definitely, and I don't know how you can mention that first game against Portland State without getting some chills after that type of loss. But you see the improvement year after year. This team looks like a well-oiled machine in the FBS and looks like one of the contenders to be in Conference USA.
And talking about the Conference USA after this kick from Patterson, we're going to actually run through some of the Conference USA scores as this will be fielded on the far side by Randall, as Rodney Randall returns it right near the 26-yard line. Quick updates so far. UAB, with their first game back after 2 years without a football program, comes out with a victory 38-7 over Alabama A&M. Number 7 Oklahoma up on UTEP. Actually, that game has gone final as well, 56-7. The final score there. Southern Miss dropping a close one to Kentucky, 24-17. Old Dominion over Albany, 31-17. Marshall over Miami, Ohio. Of course, North Texas leading here. Western Kentucky leading Eastern Kentucky 24-7. And then Northwestern State and Louisiana Tech, an FCS upset alert maybe there, as those two are tied at 24. And then the final Conference USA update, Vanderbilt leads Middle Tennessee 21-0 on the CBS Sports Network. So with 12:15 remaining here in the third quarter, North Texas up 45-14. It's a second, or after the first down from Lamar. You see Darrell Colbert drops back. He'll step up through the offensive line, diving to the right of the center, and he'll be dropped down after about a 6-yard gain. It'll make it 2nd and 4 right near the 45-yard line. Trips to his left. Zay Giles, the leading receiver from a year ago, the leading receiver tonight, to his left. Here's a short throw, and it looks like a completion. It is caught on the far sideline by a diving and sprawling receiver in Trenton Swinton over on the far sideline. What a name that one is, Kennedy. Trenton Swinton. Sounds like that could potentially be a band name. McLean almost there in time to bat down the ball. It is complete to Giles, but Giles wrapped up quickly and not letting go as came on Hall.
And you might think that play was a little excessive, but if you see the way that Giles has been eluding tacklers, sometimes that type of tackle is needed.
He definitely showed some emotion through it as Colbert has to throw this one out of play on the far sideline. Is coming in quickly and closing through the gap was Colton McDonald. McDonald, who started at weak side linebacker, still playing in that position, saw the open hole in the B gap and just went straight up the middle. Colbert saw it quickly though and was able to get the ball away, but it does set up a 3rd and long, 3rd and 10 as Colbert in the shotgun. He has White to his right. He's going to have to dump it off to the Texas A&M transfer. White makes one move, and he's brought down very quickly by a very emphatic Ashton Preston. And just like that, North Texas forces a 3 and out.
It's very important that North Texas keeps getting these 3 and outs to get their defense off the field. You don't want any injuries to come to any of your starters, and I think this is a time where on the offensive end you should start to put in the backups, maybe give them a couple of reps for the rest of this second half.
We've yet to see Jeffrey Wilson after a 176-yard, 3-touchdown performance in the first half. We haven't seen him so far here in the third quarter. As here's a long, high punt, end over end, right up the middle to Eric Jenkins. He'll make the catch without the fair catch. Tried to make one-man miss. Instead, he is tripped up with no gain on the punt return, as North Texas will have it right around the 17-yard line. So we'll see exactly who will be the personnel out on the field to start off this third quarter of action, with North Texas leading by a considerable margin. 10:14 remaining in the third quarter. North Texas with over 460 yards of total offense and over 220 yards of both passing and rushing, as the attack has been evened up here in the second half, especially with that last drive and the touchdown drive from North Texas. Jeffrey Wilson, like we talked about, has had a huge night, but Mason Fine adding his name to that list. He has 3 touchdown passes with 224 yards. He's 15 for 21. That's a 208.2 passer rating for Mason Fine. Let's take a quick break as both teams change the sides of the fields. We'll be right back here from Apogee Stadium.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
As we're back here at Apogee Stadium, North Texas over Lamar, 45-14, as we have 10-14 remaining here in the third quarter. Both teams meeting on their respective sidelines, and we were talking about some of the notables before the break. Jeffrey Wilson, Mason Fine, the usuals. We have Jalen Guyton now as the leading receiver, 4 receptions, 63 yards, half of that coming on a 35-yard reception down the field, and just like that, he's right up the top of the list. Michael Lawrence leads the yardage statistical column at 70 yards, and that's only on 3 receptions. He does have a touchdown, though. Nick Smith with 12 rushes, 56 yards on the ground, 4 receptions, 35 yards, and a touchdown receiving. As here's a flag thrown, North Texas called for the false start, and so they'll backtrack 5 yards, and they'll start their drive even further into their own red zone. So you look at North Texas now switching out quarterbacks. Quinn Shanbor into play for the first time tonight. This is some of Quinn Shambor's first action period on the field in a real game. We've seen him time in and time out in the spring game, in practice and scrimmages, as he hands it off to Nick Smith for a good gain on first down, about 7 yards up the middle. But Shanbor very green when it comes to playing the quarterback position in a live game. So after the injury timeout, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back here on North Texas Television.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Quinn Shanbor in at quarterback as North Texas leads it 45-14. He's going to have a quick handoff to, actually he's going to take it himself. Shanbor finds some space to work with, breaks a tackle. He's almost to midfield before he's pushed out on the far sideline. Shanbor rumbling and tumbling in between the numbers and the sideline hash marks as he continues to show off the legs quite a bit in his first game action in a North Texas uniform.
And you could tell Quinn Shanbor is really eager to get in one of these games and show off the talent that he possesses as a Division I athlete.
Still out of the shotgun, still working with Nick Smith. He makes a couple men miss. He breaks to the left side, finds a hole in the line, and he'll be dragged down after a 3-yard gain. Shanbor can definitely make something happen with the legs. That's what we've seen from Shanbor in the action that we have seen him in. But Shanbor overall, only 1 game played, and he had 1 passing attempt. It was an incomplete pass. That is the entire extent of his stat line for the North Texas Mean Green in game action. This one handed off to Smith on the left side. He has 1 man to beat. He'll be slowed down and taken down, but he's inside the 20-yard line into the red zone as Nick Smith has his longest rushing attempt of the afternoon. His previous long was 15. This one, he's able to barrel himself through some Lamar defenders, find his way through the line, and all the way to the 18-yard line. Nick Smith, the redshirt freshman, continuing to impress as well on the ground.
And now this North Texas offense under Quinn Shanbor is really flourishing. They've got 2 back-to-back big gains running the ball, 1 by Shanbor and 1 by Nick Smith.
Yeah, Smith just 4 yards away from eclipsing that 100-yard mark. That was a 32-yard gain as this one's handed off to Evan Johnson. That's only Johnson's 2nd attempt of the entire ball game. His first one was for 6 yards. This one for a very modest 2. Trips to the right here for Shanbor. Still the starting receiving core on Showcase as he hands it off to Johnson. Johnson has a hole, some room to work with, and he'll find himself past that first down marker inside the 5-yard line, and it's 1st and goal for the Mean Green as they continue to pile it on here against Lamar. Johnson will make his way out. Nick Smith to replace him. And Smith, who already has a touchdown receiving, may get a chance here on a handoff up the middle to try and get his first rushing touchdown of his Mean Green career. Shanbor does indeed hand it off to Smith. He's wrapped up quickly, though, as one of the Lamar defensive linemen able to get in quickly and wrap him up. That was actually Seth Adams with the tackle. He was able to break past that North Texas line.
And the game plan from the starting point to the game is simple. We're going to pound you, going to beat you at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to show that we're more physical and we're tougher than you are in the trenches.
Smith once again up the middle, dives initially to the right of the center, instead tried to change direction, go breaking back to his left. But he is stuffed right near that 4-yard line. So the first 2 plays here during 1st and goal for the Mean Green have not gone to plan. They've gained a total of probably about 1.5 yards as we're under the 6:45 mark here in the 3rd quarter. Shanbor with the handoff. Smith makes one man miss. The dive to the end zone. He's called down at the 1-yard line. It looked from our angle like Smith was able to get in, but he is inches away from the goal line. We'll see exactly what Graham Harrell and this North Texas offense will do. It looks like they are going to go for it here on 4th and very short. They will indeed do so. Shanbor in the shotgun. Smith straight back. The handoff's to Smith. Up the middle, he'll pound his way through. And North Texas continues to pour it on the Cardinals. It's now 51-14.
And, you know, the game plan, like I just said, is simple. We're going to beat you in the trenches. It's not going to be any trick plays. It's not going to be any play actions. It's going to be straight up the middle. Can you stop our running backs? Can you get past our offensive line and stop us? And so far, the answer has been no.
It has been no indeed. Smith now over the 100-yard mark, so North Texas has a pair of rushers over that 100-yard plateau, and then also 2 rushers with multiple touchdowns. Nick Smith now with his first rushing touchdown of his Mean Green career, and then you look at Jeffrey Wilson with 3 touchdowns of his own this afternoon. 52-14, North Texas able to tack on the extra point and grow their lead with 6:02 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. Let's take a quick break. You're watching the North Texas season opener as the Mean Green lead it right here on North Texas Television.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, that can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at
And some stardom on the sideline as North Texas dancing their way to a 1-0 record as well. 52-14 the score with 6:02 remaining in the third quarter. Kyle Yeomans alongside Kennedy Miller bringing you this North Texas season opener of the 2017 campaign. Quinn Shanbor successfully leading his first touchdown drive at the helm and at the reins of a Graham Harrell North Texas offense. And now, Kennedy, as we head into the deeper part of the game, what are you expecting to see and what are you wanting to see from some of the North Texas maybe reserves or some of the players that are young enough to get some experience but also try and grow a little bit here in the North Texas uniform?
Well, it's all about game experience. It's nothing like actually playing in the game. You cannot simulate a game in practice. So getting these young guys out, I would go through the entire playbook out here. Just make sure they know all the sets, make sure they know different things to run so that if needed, in crucial times, they can run it.
This kick going to be down in the end zone as Zay Giles will take it. Long drive from North Texas, as you can see on your screen. 10 plays, 83 yards. The touchdown run by Nick Smith gives him a touchdown and 101 yards rushing on the afternoon as the redshirt freshman has his coming out party here in the afternoon. North Texas with 551 yards of total offense and a pretty even attack as well. 327 yards on the ground, 224 passing yards as the handoff is given to Kendrick King right up the middle. It's about a 5-yard gain as he barrels his way to the 30-yard line. He's met with a sea of green shirts and he'll be taken to the turf after about making it halfway to the first down marker.
And if you're Lamar here, it's all about your pride. You don't want to go out kind of lackadaisical. You want to just keep fighting.
Throw over the middle, incomplete as Giles had to spin in midair trying to make any kind of play he could to try and get back to the ball that was thrown on his back shoulder. But instead, it is an incomplete pass. It'll be 3rd and 5. North Texas in the defense that stood strong so far, only 208 total yards allowed. Only 64 of those have come on the ground. The most amazing thing, well, they've only forced 1 turnover in the entire ball game. Colbert in some pressure, in some trouble, throws it out of bounds. He had nowhere to go with that football. And it'll bring up a 4th and 5 opportunity. North Texas with another 3 and out as the defense continues to impress here on opening night.
This defense, if you really think about it, has only given up 1 real drive. There's 14 points on the board, but that was because of a muff punt. They got the ball at their 5-yard line. The Lamar Cardinals have only had 1 opportunity to drive down the field in which Daryl Colbert just kind of heaved that 60-yard pass to a wide-open man.
I was about to say, even that 1 drive was really made by that 1 play. Exactly. And it was a broken play that somehow the wide receiver for Lamar and Martell Hawthorne was able to get open. As this punt makes its way and trickles all the way down to the 33-yard line of North Texas, and we may see Quinn Shanbor back in action after that last touchdown drive. So Mason Fine sitting on the bench. His night seems to be done. 15 for 21, passing 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 208.2 passer rating. The all-freshman quarterback from a year ago out of Locust Grove High School impresses yet again. He was named the starter officially on Tuesday. There was never really any kind of doubt that he was going to be the guy, as Quinn Shanbor finds himself in a little bit of trouble back behind the line of scrimmage. His forward progress will get him back to that line of scrimmage, but other than that, nowhere to go for Quinn Shanbor. But overall, Mason Fine, very impressive. Made a couple throws, especially the one to Jalen Darden late in that second quarter that was really something to behold.
Well, the thing we've always talked about with Mason Fine, with him being only in his 2nd year, is the poise that he displays in the pocket. Not the biggest guy, but he will stand in the pocket and he will take shots and still deliver throws. He's not afraid to just stand in the pocket and deliver throws. And so he's looked very sharp, very efficient, and he's gotten the job done. He's ran the ball when needed, and he's made the crucial throws when needed as well.
The big thing for Mason Fine was also trying to avoid being hit, trying to stay healthy, keep his body out of trouble. He only was able to run 5 different times. So that means he only took 5 hits in the ballgame, and that's even at a maximum. He could have potentially have slid down 2 or 3 of those times. As here's a long heave, the first pass attempt from Quinn Shanbor. It's dropped on the far sideline. What a throw from Shanbor, looking for Dion Hare Griffin. And Griffin had it bounce in, back out, and back into the hands before falling incomplete.
And that was a great pass by Quinn Shanbor. We've seen not only him, but Mason Fine made that pass earlier this game to Jalen Godden. So you could see that this pass over the shoulder, kind of towards the sideline, has been in practice for a little while now.
Yeah, it's for only the second time tonight. Alvin Kinsworthy will make his punting abilities known, and the kick will go all the way down to the 29-yard line. Pretty nice kick from Kenworthy out of Kilgore College. But other than that, the North Texas drive stalls out. A great passing attempt from Quinn Shanbor. It was his first attempt overall in the game, at least past really the line of scrimmage. He had one dump off that he completed back behind the line. This one, a deep throw, and it was actually right on the money. Like you said, a good throw from Quinn Shanbor. Just unable to hold on to it was Hare Griffin.
Yeah, it was definitely a great pass, and we'll probably see Quinn Shanbor throw a couple of more passes just to get his rhythm going the next time that North Texas gets the ball.
So here's a running play up the middle and taken down quickly by the Mean Green defense. So Lamar and Kendrick King nowhere to go. If you look at Daryl Colbert's stats, though, not necessarily a bad stat line. 14 for 23, 140 yards and 2 touchdowns, as he's actually going to be wrapped up quickly for a loss. Back into the backfield quickly is Andy Flushy, and he will have his first sack of the afternoon. Actually, I take that back. That's a completely different lineman. That's Tony Krasinski. And so Krasinski coming in and making the sack. Assisting him on the tackle was Roderick Young. So here's Colbert rolling out to the right. He's going to find an open receiver who can't hold on. There's a big lick afterwards as the throw was downfield, and was able to find an open receiver in Cameron Minger. But Minger couldn't hold on, and then if that wasn't enough, he took a hard hit as soon as the ball left his fingertips.
And out of those 10 incompletions that Daryl Colbert has, there's probably 4 or 5 of those that have been not on his fault. A couple of drop passes. There was one where he thought a flag should have been thrown to the receiver, and there was no flag. And so that 14 for 24, considering actually viewing the game, is a lot better than it seems.
And Martinez sends a high spiraling punt and a big hit, but somehow Eric Jenkins holds on to that football.
And this is the third time that Eric Jenkins has had defenders coming at him, and he has elected not to call a fair catch. And the first time resulted in a muff punt. The second time he, ended up getting stopped, and then his third time he took a shot.
Yeah, he definitely did. Rodney Randall, we'll see if we can get another look at this hit on Eric Jenkins. I have no idea how he got a hold of that football. Here it is on the punt attempt. Actually, I take that back. I thought we were on a replay. Instead, it's a handoff to Andrew Tucker on the right side. And a nice run right at about a 7-yard gain. As Quinn Shanbor still working in the shotgun. Tucker with some of his first action of the night. We saw him in the first half. This is his first time here in the third quarter with 2:24 remaining. Shanbor up the middle, quickly finds a completion. Can't see exactly who reeled that one in. It's going to be number 15 and Caleb Chumley. Chumley also a guy who plays out of that tight end position. Big body at 6'5", 244 out of Pine Tree High School in Longview, Texas. As he was quickly found there by Shanbor for a first down. Only the second completion for Shanbor, the first one of positive yardage. As he'll hand it off to Johnson. Johnson with the spin move, stays on his feet and spins his way to around the 45-yard line.
And as you mentioned, it's the first one of positive yardage in his career as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Kind of a load off his back to finally get some passing yardage there.
There you go. Quinn Shanbor, we've talked about him plenty of times on North Texas television. Called the spring game a couple years ago with Shanbor showcasing his talents there. Then he's also been talked about quite a bit. Here is Johnson bouncing off of defenders and then laying a shoulder into one of the Lamar safeties on the far sideline. Devon Jernigan had nowhere to go, but Evan Johnson, unbelievable on the far sideline. Let's take another look at this one as Johnson able to break a couple tackles initially. Went straight into the huddle, had two defenders on him, and then off on that safety on the far sideline. Johnson showcasing the power moves there. He's going to be able to show the speed here as he flips himself over one of the Lamar defensive linemen who was on the turf. And right near the first down marker. And Johnson a little slow to get up. He'll limp his way to the sideline. But overall, Johnson showcasing himself that, hey, Nick Smith and Jeffrey Wilson aren't the only ones that can run the football on this North Texas offense.
And that play is kind of reminiscent of last year in college football, that Leonard Fournette, when he ran over the Mississippi State defender, just kind of the defender just kind of helpless in the situation and just watches Nick Smith lower his head and just has to take the blow.
So after the 9-yard run by Johnson, they're going to give it to Tucker, and he's going to barrel his way inside the red zone and right near the 12-yard line. That puts North Texas over 600 yards of total offense here in the ball game, and we still have 10 seconds left here in the third quarter. That should do it, though, for the third chapter in this one. North Texas, a team who last year averaged 341 yards on average per game, have 602 yards of total offense. As we head to the fourth quarter, the score 52-14 at the end of 3. We'll be right back here with the North Texas season opener on North Texas television.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
North Texas up 52-14 over the Lamar Cardinals, 52 points, the most North Texas has scored in a season opener since they beat, well, ironically, Lamar 54-6 to open the 1951 season. And also, let's just say this is how long ago 1951 was, Kennedy. That was the final season at Old Eagle Field. Fouts Field had never seen a football game as a season opener with this many points put up by the Mean Green.
Wow, and there's so many stat lines coming into this game. This is the first time that North Texas had more than 600 total yards in 10 years. The last time was against Navy when they had 635, and so this North Texas team is clicking right now on all cylinders.
Yeah, North Texas, who brought in Seth Luttrell to try and amp up the offense, is seeing some amped up offense. And here's another chance as Andrew Tucker spins his way into the end zone. Forget about 52. Let's continue to see that score total rise. It's 58-14 Mean Green.
And this is one of the most lopsided games that I've seen during my North Texas time here. This North Texas team is just pounding the ball into this defense, and you've got to think that this is their blueprint, for the rest of the year. To make defenses stop the run, you have to stop Jeffrey Wilson. You have to stop Nick Smith. And it's going to be tough for opposing defenses to stop these guys.
Yeah, North Texas has been dominant on both sides of the ball. It doesn't matter who's in the ball game, as Nick Smith, Andrew Tucker, and Jeffrey Wilson, all running backs now with touchdowns on their total. 5 touchdowns from the halfbacks. You have 3 touchdowns from the receivers, as it's 59-14. You look at Tucker bouncing to the left side. Good blocking from the North Texas offensive line. A lot of questions around this offensive line heading into the 2017 season. And Jordan Murray, Alex Woodworth, Creighton Barr, and all sorts of players, especially on that left side, have been outstanding in terms of getting that extra push and pushing some of the Lamar defenders back a couple of yards. That time, it looked like the Lamar defensive line was standing on the goal line themselves.
And really, with the talent that North Texas has at the running back position with Jeffrey Wilson with Nick Smith, the offensive line really just has to hold their blocks for about 3 or 4 seconds, and those running backs can kind of create on their own with their quickness and agility.
So 59-14, the running backs continue to run wild, and the North Texas Mean Green lead the Lamar Cardinals here in the 4th quarter. Let's take a very quick break here on North Texas Television.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume.
North Texas 59, Lamar 14, as we have 14 minutes and 54 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. With 59 points on the board, North Texas has tied the record for the most points put up in a season opener by a North Texas team, and a big hit laid on by one of the North Texas defenders on the far sideline, as North Texas continues to impress. A season total in terms of, a program record in terms of yardage, right around 635 yards. North Texas sits at 614 currently. And like you talked about, the last time that they were able to eclipse the 600 mark was against Navy back in 2007, Kennedy.
And it looks like they're well on their way to eclipsing that possibly the next time they get the ball. And it doesn't look like they'll beat the all-time scoring record in the game with 77, but it's just been a great performance by this North Texas team tonight.
How about the defense as well? We're talking about the offensive output and the fireworks there, but look at the defensive line on that play, forcing Colbert. It feels like Colbert's never had really any kind of time to throw the football. He's had a couple of plays where he's been able to find an open receiver downfield, but other than a couple lucky breaks in terms of finding those receivers, Colbert's been really held at bay all night long. This time, ball bouncing on the ground. That's a backwards pass. That was actually a fumble, but luckily for Lamar, their running back in the form of Kirkland Banks was able to hop on that loose football before a North Texas defender could get on it, but it does set up a 2nd and long attempt. And it looks like it was an offsides call anyway, so fumble or not, North Texas will have to concede a 5-yard penalty here to the Lamar Cardinals.
And like you said, Kyle, one of the touchdowns that the North Texas defense gave up, Daryl Colbert got smacked, and he just ended up laying the ball in the right place for the receiver to get.
Texas could only hope that the offensive output from this week could carry over into not only next week against SMU, but the week after against Iowa, then in the conference play, as they continue to impress on both sides of the football. 3rd and 2 now here for Lamar after a considerable gain on 2nd down after the offsides penalty. North Texas with a stacked front, only playing with the one middle linebacker and a safety playing in short, but a timeout called by the Cardinals to talk things over. It's their first of the halves. So with 13:59 remaining here in the ball game and a 59-14 lead, North Texas over Lamar. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back here on North Texas Television.
Here's your check.
Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
A 3rd and 2 to come here for the Lamar Cardinals as North Texas leads it 59-14. And Kennedy Miller alongside Kyle Yeomans as we get things wrapped up here in the 4th quarter. Still a lot of football left to play, though. It feels like this game's starting to kind of wind down, but at the same time, you look at the way these defenders are playing for North Texas and then the way that the offense has played in terms of running the ball on the ground for the Mean Green. There's no one time that North Texas has even said, hey, we're going to kind of take a step back. Even whenever they put it on the ground, they have success.
And that's exactly right, Kyle. The term of slowing it down means we're probably not going to air the ball out. We're probably not just going to keep passing the ball. We're going to start running it. That's been what North Texas has been doing all night. And so there practically is no way to kind of, slow it down or kind of have a mercy rule. Because if you can't stop the run, then you just can't stop a team.
So North Texas with 614 yards of total offense. They're around 20 yards, actually 21 yards away from breaking the single game school record for yards in a ball game. We talked about it earlier against Navy. We'll have to wait a couple of minutes until then, but right now North Texas on the defensive side of things with a 3rd and short coming up for Lamar. Daniel Colbert and a 14-25 mark passing, 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's yet to complete a pass since the middle of the 3rd quarter. So back in the shotgun as Colbert will take the snap. He'll hand it off side to side and nowhere to go. Close to the 1st down marker, though, as rumbling toward the line is Kirkland Banks. We'll see where they spot this ball. It's going to be close to the 1st down. They're going to give it to him. So a 1st down for Lamar on the 3rd and short will keep the drive alive. That's only the 11th 1st down of the afternoon for the Cardinals.
And this Lamar Cardinals team, they still have some fight left in them. They're still competing out here. They're not just laying down and conceding the game away.
Yeah, they're definitely not doing so. You see the starters still out on the field for Lamar. One thing that I have no explanation for is the absence of James White in this ball game. He was really a big transfer coming in from Texas A&M. A lot of hype around him as this pass hits off the hands of Hawthorne, incomplete. But James White, who was kind of circled on my depth chart at least as a real threat to come in and try and make something happen against a defense that struggled in stopping the run last year. But so far, James White has had a whopping total of 1 carry for no yards. As Colbert has to step up, get out of the pocket, the throw is incomplete as he was looking and hitting off the hands of Kirkland Banks yet again. And so 13-17 on the clock That's 4th down now, even though the marker on the field says 2nd down. It's a 4th and 10 after 3 straight no gains from the North Texas defense, able to stuff the Lamar offense. But overall, looks like North Texas is going to bring the house here on this punt attempt. Shifting things around, and they'll instead go back into a punt return type of formation. Jenkins with the fair catch. He'll run out of bounds right near the 23-yard line. So North Texas with some conservative field position after the 4th down stop against against the Lamar Cardinals. Let's take a quick break as North Texas leads at 59-14 over Lamar. You're listening and watching North Texas football in the season opener right here on NTTV Sports.
Here we go. We're going to go out there in the rain. You're going to get wet. All right, here we go. Go, okay, quick. Oh, yeah. Yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
How's your hair? Is it pretty?
Daddy.
It's pretty.
Maybe I'll sit Maybe I'll sit
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. As it turns out, we have very similar personalities. And this cat makes me make art because he's always motivating me to take pictures of him, to draw pictures of him. He just is motivating artistically. It's just that simple. Well, he's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
North Texas up 49-14 over the visiting Lamar Cardinals as a quick handoff up the middle to Evan Johnson will get the drive started for Quinn Chambor in the offensive attack. You look at what Jeffrey Wilson was able to do in the first half alone with 176 yards. He's been the all-purpose yards leader over the past 2 seasons for the Mean Green. Last year he did battle some injuries throughout the year, had a couple games off, had a couple big games as well. This would have been right up near the top of those. I feel like if maybe he was healthy and the score could have been a little bit closer, he may have been up near 250, 300 yards rushing. He did battle a little bit of an injury in the first half, so probably a precaution in terms of keeping him out as Evan Johnson spins his way past the first down marker almost to the 38-yard line with 2:19 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Decent Lamar traveling section shown on the far sideline as Lamar, of course, from Beaumont, being hit hard by the Hurricane Harvey incidents over the past couple of weeks. Our thoughts and prayers down with the South Texas area near the Gulf. And, of course, Lamar having the decision to make in terms of the coaching staff and whether to return back to Beaumont tonight or to stay up in the DFW area, try and get some practice time. North Texas has offered their facilities to do so, just in case that is the decision that is to be made. I was talking earlier with one of the SIDs from the Lamar Athletic Department, and you see the Lamar section currently, but the SID was talking about how it's really kind of like a decision in terms of the coaching staff trying to make a decision for their 103 kids and whether or not what's best for them going back home or staying up in the DFW area is definitely a big decision to make. As here's the handoff up the middle, and Tucker will barrel his way to about the 45-yard line. That'll make it 3rd and 2.5 on the far sideline. It was actually Evan Johnson, excuse me. North Texas now up over 400 yards rushing. Last time North Texas was able to eclipse that mark was at a 464 mark back against Middle Tennessee in 2011. 402 yards to be exact, compared to 64 yards of rushing for Lamar. One more yard will get the total yardage record for North Texas. They may have just gotten it there. We'll see exactly where the statistician will put it, as they were sitting at 634 yards on that 3rd down play. It's going to be 4th and very short after the run up the middle from Evan Johnson, and it looks like the punting unit will make its way onto the field. They are going to give them the extra yards. So 636 yards of total offense. North Texas now has a new school record for total offensive yardage in a single game.
What a pleasure you and I get to have commentated this game.
It's been a lot of fun, for sure. Back and forth, North Texas continuing to impress on the offensive side. The punt muffed, but picked up by Zay Giles, as it ended up actually hitting the turf off the hands of Giles. And there were 4 Mean Green defenders off of the punting unit just standing around. Didn't even really, I don't know if they registered or not what exactly had just happened.
Well, the ball hit him in the chest and then went to the turf, like you said, and then it just kind of bounced back into his chest. And so they all just kind of like wrapped him up, and then the referee just blew the play dead. But just kind of like a boneheaded play from both sides.
Yeah, definitely an interesting look here at the end of the ball game. 9:23 remaining, and a big tackle and a big wrap up there of the running back in Miles Wanza. Another great name. And Andrew Allen in at quarterback, replacing Colbert. We saw Allen very briefly earlier. Only had 1 passing attempt, played for 1 drive. It was a 3 and out. They actually ended up fumbling a snap and then taking a sack. Instead, he's going to run here, though. Right near the 1st down marker, he will have a 1st down. So his first positive yardage of the afternoon in terms of Andrew Allen. And so right at the 1st down marker, 8:45 remaining here in the ball game. Of course, in college, the 1st down, as this is going to be a completion on the far sideline to Zay Giles, pushed out of bounds quickly by the Mean Green defenders, will make it a very modest gain. But of course, 1st downs in college result in a stoppage of the clock, and then the clock will resume as soon as the chains reset. So that could potentially drag out the game a little bit longer. If you're Lamar here, you're looking toward the latter part of your season, as flying in for North Texas there, a big deflection coming off the hands of William LeMasters. And LeMasters flying in, the linebacker got his hands up in the way of Andrew Allen's pass and batted it down all the way back to the 10-yard line. So 3rd and long, 8 yards to gain for the Cardinal, right on their own 30 or 26-yard line, as the throw is complete, and it is enough for a 1st down.
And back to that play by LeMasters, batting it down almost a la J.J. Watt, batting that ball down. And he says, I'm smarter than that. I can see the pass going over my head almost like I have a master's.
Oh, okay. I see that. It was good.
Thank you.
I liked it.
Just had to work that in there.
A little different than J.J. Swat, a nickname there.
Very close.
North Texas now on the 2nd and long, looking to stuff Lamar. Instead, Lamar pushing their way closer to that 1st down marker. And so right at about the 45-yard line, Lamar continuing to push here on this final drive. Under 7.5 minutes remaining here in the fourth quarter. Handoff up the middle. It's actually going to be pulled back, and Andrew Allen laying a shoulder into the North Texas linebacker and Taylor Robinson. Robinson didn't even see it coming, but Allen, not really a big quarterback. He's listed at 6 foot and 200 pounds. Pretty good size, but at the same time, he put a licking on Robinson in the middle of the field.
And that's definitely what I was about to say. He's not, on paper, a big quarterback, but you look at him and he's got a good amount of size to him. And so I think some linebackers might take him for granted, just like on that play. And once he lowers his shoulders, he's still a grown man like you and I.
So underneath the 7-minute mark here in the fourth quarter, North Texas up by, I could say, a considerable margin, 59-14. The snap gets away. It's going to be like a spike. It was batted down, actually. Take it back. I didn't even see the hand fly up. Looked like it might have been Andrew Flushy again. Redshirt senior coming in and making the swat from the defensive line. Here's a throw close to the first down marker. The second effort will put it past the first down marker, so Lamar continues to keep their drive alive. That's their third down conversion on this drive alone, as they've now made it past the 250-yard mark on the afternoon. Actually, they're going to call that down near the 40-yard line. It's a fourth down play. They will get the first, but that's after a very mean green friendly spot on the defensive side. I thought for sure Lamar had reached the first down marker.
And this Lamar team, like I said on the last possession, is not giving up. They're not going down without a fight. And they are playing very hard to their credit. And, you know, they're leaving it all out on the field.
Well, you look even at the North Texas defense right here, the front three on the defensive line, Tillman Johnson, Tuwalu, and Andrew Flushy are all still in the game. The starters from earlier this afternoon. So North Texas still trying to get some considerable playing time for their defensive starters. As that one's batted down as well. The throw up the middle, I don't even know where that throw was intended to go receivers-wise for Lamar. It did bat off of the helmet of a mean green defender, though, and harmlessly to the turf. 6:15 remaining in the fourth quarter. You look at the offensive production from North Texas, what the defense has been able to do against a depleted Lamar team. But overall, what do you expect, Kennedy, of North Texas so far? Now what you've been able to see, the very slim sample size here this afternoon, and what do you expect going into the season for the Mean Green?
Well, I think Seth Luttrell will do a good job this year of putting the ball in the hands of his playmakers. His running backs, Jeffrey Wilson, Nick Smith, his receivers, Jalen Godden out there for one. You've got to get the ball in the hands of those guys. Those are your best players, and you've got to make sure that they always touch the ball on each series. And I think Coach Luttrell is doing a great job of that throughout the first game, and I think that's the blueprint that this North Texas team will have for the rest of the season.
Well, they get another stop there as LeMasters was able to come in and bat down the pass before it was able to get to the Lamar receiver. So another defensive stop. And look who's the first one out on the sideline just to the edge of your screen. It was Keyshawn McClain congratulating his teammates, the captain with the towel around his neck, who was out off of the sideline as soon as the play happened. And North Texas stands up strong yet again. It looks like there may be a new quarterback in the game for North Texas. There is indeed. They're going to hand it off to Andrew Tucker up the middle. And so North Texas putting in, it looks like Mitch Kaysen into the ball game. I didn't even have him on my depth chart heading into the night. We'll see what we can find on Mitch Kaysen in just a minute. Thought as Mason Fine and Quinn Shanbor made their way out of the game. I thought Cade Pearson would potentially be the third Mean Green quarterback we'd see. I had no idea Mitch Kaysen would even be considered for some kind of playing action. So Kaysen, coming out of Flower Mound Marcus High School, listed at 6'2", 189. He's a redshirt freshman. He was really kind of the star recruit of the very brief recruiting class that Seth Luttrell had last year. He redshirted back in 2016, and he was a first-team All-District honoree as a senior, threw for over 2,200 yards and 18 touchdowns as the quarterback and starter for Flower Mound Marcus, as Evan Johnson continues to barrel his way toward the midfield marker, and he will get there as North Texas continues to grow their now school record offensive output.
And I think they can get to almost 700 yards tonight. The way that they're running the ball, they just cannot be stopped on the ground. And like I said earlier, this is going to be the blueprint that they're going to use for the rest of the season, is that teams are going to have to stop us on the run if they have a chance of beating us.
We saw the passing game and the rushing game kind of even up toward the end of the first half. Then once Mason Fine left, it was back to the run. As here's another nice run from Johnson as he breaks to the left side. So we saw first Jeffrey Wilson impress. Nick Smith then hit the 100-yard mark, got himself a touchdown. Now Evan Johnson is just yards away from reaching the 100-yard mark. The only thing that he doesn't have that the other two have were a touchdown run. Mitch Kaysen in the ballgame, the third quarterback, like we said, for North Texas, after Mason Fine went 15 for 21, 224 yards and 3 touchdowns. Quinn Shanbor went 2 for 3 with 8 yards. And Kaysen has yet to throw his first pass in a Mean Green uniform. Another run, this time up the middle to Andrew Tucker. Tucker also with 26 yards now, plus that, after a quick little run up the middle. Evan Johnson sitting at 98 yards himself. He would be the third North Texas rusher to reach that 100-yard plateau.
And I'm not sure Mitch Kaysen will throw a pass here tonight with the way that they're running the ball and with the way that they're kind of running out the clock here. It's no reason to with the way that they're getting yards each time carrying the ball.
So a new running back in here for North Texas, getting his first carry of the night, is Hosley. Hosley, one of the more green players we've seen from North Texas himself. Almost an entirely new unit for North Texas out on the field. You have Hosley out of San Antonio, Texas, Howard Payne University, 5'9", 185. The redshirt sophomore was redshirted his first year on campus as well. Played for Howard Payne Junior College and made 9 appearances for Howard Payne. And Kennedy, I'd give you $20 right here, right now, if you can name the mascot of Howard Payne University.
Howard Payne.
$20 on the spot.
I want to say they're a type of bird.
Nope.
They're not?
No, they aren't. Actually, I have no idea. I'm just joking. For some reason, I want to say the Howard Payne Buccaneers, but I have no clue.
No, one of my best friends from elementary, his sister went to Howard Payne.
They're the Yellow Jackets. Howard Payne Yellow Jackets. You were close. It was another flying animal, just not a bird. So here's a handoff to Hosley yet again. He's not going to go anywhere. And on the fourth down, that'll do it for North Texas on the offensive side of things, at least for now, with 1:23 remaining here in the fourth quarter. And the Mean Green just kind of run out the clock as far as they can. Lamar with one final opportunity to try and get some extra rep ins before they move on to their next game. Lamar will move on and play Texas Permian next Saturday at 7 o'clock before traveling on the road for a pair of games against Northwestern State and then Southeastern Louisiana, both on the 16th and the 23rd. Both of these teams share the same bye week on the October 7th week. As quick run right back up the middle. Quick look at North Texas's schedule as well. Of course, they travel next week. We talked about it, the matchup with SMU. The first big test for a North Texas team that looks very good tonight against Chad Morris and the Mustangs down in Dallas. First time that they've traveled back down to SMU since that 2015 season where they started at SMU and lost 31-13 on the road. And after that, they'll travel to Iowa before returning back home to play UAB on September 23rd. So 2 straight road games before their next return here back to Apogee Stadium. They'll then take on Southern Miss on the road before a bye week. So between right now and October 14th, North Texas will only have 2 home games. As this one's popped high in the air, that may have been reeled in. It was. Interception on the near sideline off of the hands of the receiver. Trying to find out who that exactly was. It's William LeMasters. Yet again, the smartest one on the field as LeMasters comes flying in off the hands of the receiver. Let's look at it one more time. As you see the initial throw bounces off the hands and into the hands of LeMasters. There was nowhere for the receiver for Lamar to put that football as it just kind of hung in the air long enough for LeMasters to make a play. And the first interception of the game as well. 22 seconds left in the ball game. And it'll be Mitch Kaysen with the duty of kneeling this one out. So Kennedy, final thoughts as North Texas with a record-breaking performance, 670 yards of total offense here in the season opener.
The running game was fantastic. Jeffrey Wilson is as good as advertised, and this North Texas team is on the rise. The hashtag is New Denton around here, and I'm excited for this North Texas team and what they have in store this upcoming year.
So North Texas, along with their new slogan this year, will light the tower as they win it 59-14 over the Lamar Cardinals. 1-0 on the 2017 campaign. Seth Luttrell now at an overall 6-8 as a head coach here in Denton. For everybody involved in this North Texas television broadcast, for Drake Lawson, our sports director, for Hunter Arnold, our director tonight, for Kennedy Miller up in the booth, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Thank you for joining us once again. North Texas over Lamar 59-14. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.